With the first pick of the 2023 MLB draft, the Pittsburgh Pirates pick Paul Skenes, right-hander.
Say this ain't ordinary love like Sade, tryna waste your time like Holiday. What they gon' say? Tryna tie me down to a noble state, to a noble state. They gon' play my music and they gon' say like I'm a new Drake, but away by the scene like Fouché. Play this today, and I only promise you one or two things. I'll never sign to another motherfucker. I only sign to my own motherfucker. I'll never sign to another motherfucker. I only sign to my own motherfucker. Yeah.
Zero NL Central Division titles. That's how long it has been since the Pirates have been good enough to be considered the top team in their own division. The last time they've won a division title, Barry Bonds was the top player on their roster. They have only made the wild card 3 times since then, in 2013, 2014, and 2015, sadly only ever reaching as far as the NLDS. They've had 2 number 1 picks, Henry Davis and Paul Skenes. And yet, we see them as a team that has a ton of potential despite not necessarily being able to capitalize this over the last several decades. And that is because these prospects that they have now drafted now are starting to look very, very interesting. Paul Skenes specifically is one of the most interesting prospects that we've seen in a while. He brings people to baseball games. People watch the Pirates specifically for Paul Skenes. Skenes Day, as it is. In addition to this, they have another top pitching prospect in Jared Jones, who has people buckling at the knees with his ridiculous break on his pitches. With these two flamethrowers at the top of their rotation, we start to look like the Pirates might have a future as the top team in the NL Central, and maybe can eventually win that division. Well, that's what we are going to attempt to do today in this Pirates rebuild. Our goal is going to be to win our division, and then eventually, of course, win ourselves the first World Series since the 1970s, in which we will attempt to build around this current roster and the prospects that they have. Take a quick look at this roster before we end up kind of giving you an idea of what our goals are. We have a lot of really interesting players that we can look at. First off, at the top of the pitching staff, you have Jared Jones and Paul Skenes, both rookies, which our goal is going to be to try to win a Rookie of the Year with one of them. Whether it's Skenes or Jones, I necessarily do not care. I think both of them being successful is essential to us rebuilding. On top of that, we still have some interesting pitching prospects down the board. Johan Oviedo, Quinn Preister, Bubba Chandler, Salamedo, a lot of really cool, interesting pitching prospects that we could end up being a part of our rotation. On top of this, we have a lot of interesting guys in our lineup. I'm going to look at the depth chart here, and we're going to take a look at Ke'Bryan Hayes, multiple-time Gold Glove winner already. No, he only has one. But definitely a future of several Gold Gloves, as he's one of the best defensive infielders in all of baseball. O'Neal Cruz, the freak at shortstop, 6'7", and just has a cannon of an arm and hits the ball way too hard, considering what most people in the league do. And we also have more prospects like Nick Gonzalez, and we have at the top, we have Brian Reynolds, one of their core pieces that have been around for a little while. And in the catcher position, we have Andy Rodriguez, as well as Henry Davis, who is not in that lineup right there. So we have an interesting core of players that we can build around. So what is our goal going to be? Well, in baseball, it is essential to have an amazing pitching staff, and Paul Skenes and Jared Jones could be just that. But to challenge ourselves, rather than just saying we need to build around Paul Skenes and Jared Jones, that is easy and relatively. What I want us to do is we are going to try to acquire 3 Cy Young caliber pitchers. So right now, that means we need to get another if we have Jared Jones and Skenes. And the way we're going to classify Cy Young caliber is finishing top 3 in the Cy Young in our awards thing up here. Now, why not just say Cy Young winners, and why go top 3? Well, one thing that I want to do a caveat of is, let's say that Paul Skenes wins a Cy Young every single season. Well, then that never gives Jared Jones or whoever pitcher number 3 is qualified, or, whoever pitcher number 3 is, a chance to win another one. And so because I don't want us to block our pitching, we want to have 3 top 3 vote getters in pitching. Now, I also want to do a restriction on that in the sense that I don't want to go out and just sign Shane McClanahan whenever he becomes available and hope that he ends up being our 3rd Cy Young guy. I would like to develop this pitcher, whether it's a draft pick or a guy that we trade and sign at a lower overall and develop into a Cy Young caliber pitcher. That is going to be our goal. So whatever pitcher that we sign cannot be a 90 plus when we sign him. I'd prefer him to be low 80s, high 70s, or a draft pick. So in scouting and drafting, we're going to go pitcher heavy in the first draft, and then we'll probably lean more position heavy later on as we continue to move deeper into building our team. Looking at our roster and our prospects, one of the reasons for this is we have a lot of pitching prospects, as you can see here, and we have a decent amount of infield prospects. The outfield prospects, like Lonnie White, Tony Blanco, Chilen Polanco, not really good. They're C potential guys. They're not necessarily the most interesting players when you consider long-term ability to be actually on this roster. So free agents might come from the outfield. We might draft outfielders. We're going to need to do that. And I would also like to have a very good defensive team. While we're not going to have the number one defensive team, I think in order to really take advantage of the great pitching, I would like to get a top 10 defensive team, if not top 5 defensive team this year. So with that in mind, we are going to go get ourselves into our draft. We are going to start scouting and drafting and trying to build defensive roster around this pitching staff. I don't think we're going to compete this first season. I don't think it's worth competing this first season. I think what would be great would be to get our guys to develop, see if we can get a rookie of the year out of Skenes or out of Jared Jones, and then go into the draft some guys, and then have another top pick the following year where we then go for a wild card. And then maybe the division, as the NL Central is a division that I think is possible of winning as long as Juan Soto doesn't sign for one of the other 4 teams.
I said no lies.
I think he's telling the truth.
If he were telling the truth, he wouldn't have told us.
Unless, of course, he knew you wouldn't believe the truth, even if he told it to you.
First trade we're going to make in order to sell is we're going to sell Chapman back to the Rangers again, and we're just going to get a first baseman that's like at the very bottom of their system that might have some defensive potential. Probably won't end up being anything, but why not? Domingo Germán has a 1.62 ERA, or 1.82. Sorry, I can't read sometimes. 1.82 ERA since I called him up. And I'm going to capitalize on this. Our pitching staff, I think, is probably the worst in the league. And our bats are actually okay, but we're still competitive in the Central right now, and I don't really want to be. We're going to trade Germán and Stratton, a reliever, for a few prospects. This pitching prospect who's really far away, and then 2 defensive outfield prospects in Eli White, who's not really a prospect, but can come up right away, and then Jace Grady, who's a little bit further away. I've never really traded for defensive guys like this before, so this will be kind of new to me, and we make that deal. We got 2 guys who are really outperforming, but their deals are right now, and they are both on expiring deals, and Ryan Barucki, who has a 2.98 ERA, as well as Rowdy Tellez, who is hitting 300 at first base. Both of them are upcoming free agents. I think we're just going to trade them now at the deadline and get our assets back. And so we're going to trade them to the Marlins, who are in desperate need of a first baseman as well as relief pitching, as they are currently in an intense wild card race in the NL that technically we're in, but I don't want to be in. And we're going to get prospect Dylan Head off of them. Starting the 2024 draft, when I did my scouting, I originally went in with the goal of getting a bunch of pitching, which there's a lot of really good pitchers, especially later in the draft. So we will draft pitching, but the top like MLB rank players were almost all position players this year. There were so many landmines. Like, I cannot tell you how many guys I've scouted who have opted out or are injured, which sucks because, like, for example, Sean Chance injured because he looked really, really good. Like, it was like guy after guy after guy who I was like, this guy could be great, this guy could be great, this guy could be great, especially position players, which generally you don't get that opportunity of drafting. But almost every single one has opted out, or look, position players, like all the way down the list, has opted out or was injured. And of course, the top guy right here was injured. This is actually like one of my favorite prospects because he has good contact skills as well as good defensive skills, which is kind of what we are looking for, even though he's a shortstop. I do want to look quick because position players are always valuable to get. But there's really only one here in this Jeffrey Herbert, or Hebert. Is it Herbert or Hebert? Hebert. Who does look good. Good contact, decent, everything else. And can play first base and would be up pretty soon, but the potential is not necessarily as high as I would like. That's an interesting shortstop. I think what we have to do, and this is where once again we're stuck with a landmine here. Do we go with an opt-out pitcher who could be great? I think we're just gonna have to. We're swinging for the fences here on this. He's pretty good all around the board, and the walks per 9 is already nice. Now let's hope he doesn't have an injury. I don't like drafting opted out guys, but I mean, this guy's also good too, and he's safer, but he's further away. So this is where the question comes: do you take the risk? This guy is also safer, but he's not going to be as good. You're stuck. Do you take safe pick, who's close, who's not going to be as good? Do you take safer, who's younger, who's going to be further away, who might be as good? Or guy who is definitely going to be good if he's not hurt? I think we're going to take the risk. I know I can draft pitchers that are going to be safe. We're going to take the risk because I want a close guy who's at a top end to potentially get our ace as early as possible. Jacob Rosales will be the pick. Next first round pick. We have, first off, do we have any position players here to take? Because I do want to round out some of this. I don't want to just have all. Looks like it's all pitching, which is fine. So do we take Silva or Quintero? I think we'll take Quintero. Another JUCO guy who could be very interesting. This is a interesting shortstop, especially defensively. We did not really scout him. I'm gonna wait one pick, but Billy Del Villar might be my third round pick if he's still there. DeWitt is nice. Sanchez is an opt out. And oh, that walks per 9. Hits per 9 is bad. I'm not gonna draft him. I like that I said there were so many position players, and now I'm not. I probably won't end up drafting like any of them. All right, I think we're gonna go. Do I go DeWitt or do I go? Like I said, hits per 9 is pretty bad. This guy's probably. Oh, that is a long reliever. I think we'll take the top guy here. We'll take DeWitt. We're going to take Del Villar if he's still here. He is. Risky pick. You see, we go like risky, safe, risky. I'm only doing that because I feel like the opportunity to draft guys that are interesting, that have like potential and could be something, I think is more fun, especially like I don't mind missing all the time. I don't want to miss every time. Like that guy's good, but he's injured. We are definitely going to have to see how many guys got hit by the injuries and stuff this draft. He's further. We'll take JJ North. We have 2 more picks left. We have this Will Fowler, Schultz. I'm going to draft. I don't want to draft him yet. But what do I got for scouted players? Really? Nobody besides pitching. I'm going to draft this reliever. We're just drafting for the color blue right now. And then we'll draft him, Doug Schultz. So we did what we said we were going to do, almost all pitching. And yeah, we will get and show these. And I also want to see what all those other guys ended up being, especially the bye guy. And I hope we didn't hit a bad injury on the opt-out. I know we're taking a risk on it, but I feel like you have to, especially if you have an opportunity to get that third ace that we need to do. So we'll see what we get. Taking a look at our draft picks, Jacob Rosales was exactly what we were hoping for. Good walks per 9, is going to be close, 94 potential. He was a good pick. I think we made the right move there with Jacob Rosales. We'll check all the other guys that we could have drafted before we end up like evaluating it technically, but when we were looking for an ace, I think this guy has the potential to be that. Now, it's going to take probably 2 seasons before we see him because his hits per 9 is not good. He's still going to give up a lot of hits, and I'm not going to like what I see in the majors until he's like 23 or 24. But this might be one of the guys. Andres Quintero, another one. He's basically Rosales, but even further away. Because Rosales has bad hits, home runs per 9 as well, and Quintero has a little bit better, so he's a little bit more of an all-around guy, but he will be up 2 eventually. DeWitt, not necessarily. Oh, new show shop items. DeWitt is another one, walks per 9 high. He will be a ways away before he gets up. Del Villar, this was our risky pick, and yeah, it didn't pay off, which, okay. You do that every once in a while. Nothing real crazy from JJ North. Adrian Rivera was kind of a safe reliever. I took him because when you see the potential that has a blue potential and the bottom end is green, for Adrian Rivera, meaning that it was 79 to 85. I think it was actually 78 to 86 for that. Like, that's a reliever, and relievers are hard to get at that level, so I'll take it. And then Doug Schultz, not bad, another walks per 9 merchant here, I guess. I do want to take a look at some of the other picks, some of the other guys that were available. Tristan McCauley was a good contact guy. Okay, 90 potential there. The main one is Walter By. He was a risky pick. He was injured. His potential was kind of scary because of that. Looks like the Giants got lucky. His injury did not impact his potential, did not impact him. He is going to be a stud. And yeah, we missed out on him, but I didn't want to take the risk at the top end pick, especially when we need to be competing. And he would also be a shortstop at a position that we already have. So, okay, that's okay. We miss out on him. He was good, but that's all right. Taking a look around the rest of them. Oh, first overall pick was not good. John Simmons, Hutchins, Harold Sanchez was an interesting guy. A great bat. Did not have good defensive things, but still great bat. Chapman, I don't think he was one of the ones we were looking at. Peacock. Wow, that's a yikes for him. So not good there. Phil Gomes was all around kind of a fantastic outfielder. He will be very good. This was another one that I was looking at, but nothing really crazy. David Warren was pretty interesting too. And then, yeah, I mean, I think there was Hebert. So I think we made the right pick by going, instead of Hebert, going with our guy. And Sean Chance was 86. I think Rosales was the right pick. I think we made the right decision. Honestly, if you look at potential rating, I think he technically is the highest. So, well, besides like later guys, like funny, I said that relievers don't get that high, and then I just saw that. Oh, never mind. That's a shortstop. Yeah, not bad. We are still somehow in the wild card race. Despite me at every effort attempting to trade away all of our guys. Our just dealt with a major injury to Endy Rodriguez, major injury to Cabrian Hayes, and our lineup's a little bit thin right now, and also Eli White, the guy who I just traded for to put in the lineup, also injured. So we're still in the race, but if we don't make it, we don't make it, and that's not bad. But if we do, hey, that's a plus. Then we made a wild card run, and we can get the Skenes and Jones an opportunity to play playoff baseball. 71 and 91, we do not make the postseason, and it wasn't. The thing is, it wasn't really even a very interesting year based on our stats either. I do want to show. So I kept saying that we were in the race, and the reason we were in the race is because this division was really bad. And we did lose 6 in a row at the end to kind of push ourselves out of it. But like, we were technically only 2.5 games behind going into the last month of the season in our division. The Central was really bad this year. And so, you know, we had an opportunity, but it is what it is. Our awards, we got none. Ozuna wins MVP this year. And Jordan on the other side. Cy Young goes to Pablo Lopez. Joe Ryan runner-up. Glasnow on this side, with Blake Snell runner-up in the Cy Young. Almost getting it back-to-back for him. We're in the NL. Luis Arias, I do want to check. Yeah, I didn't think we had anybody here, really. Neither of our guys were good this year. Really, when you look around the team, you can see Gold Glove, which was the goal, to get some Gold Glovers. But yeah, our team was not very good at all. And we did trade away some of the better players throughout the year, including Rowdy Tellez. So just taking a look at our roster, I'm going to go pitching rotation to AAA first. I don't think we had any of these guys, so I'm not necessarily mad. Marco Gonzalez, 4.46 in the bullpen. He bounced around between the bullpen and the starting rotation. I sent him down to the minors. At one point, he had a 7.3 ERA. I sent him down to AAA, came back, and he was decent for the second half of the season. Fleming with a 3.6. I'm not going to try that. 4.47. 3.92 for Murrieta. 4.78 for Holderman, 2.57 for Jose Hernandez, and 2.19 for Bednar, who did end up with 39 saves and had a decent season. Jared Jones, 4.63. He did a little bit better at the second half, but he was rough in the beginning of the year. He started off hot, really cooled down in the middle, and then warmed up. But it looks like an unlucky season based on his FIP. So even though we went out and got defensive guys, he did not necessarily take advantage of that. Skenes was not good. Skenes had a 1.67 whip. He let out 200 hits on this season and just kind of got lit up all year. I moved him to the bullpen at one point and it helped him a little bit, but it just, yeah, Skenes and Jones did not have good rookie seasons that you would like to see from them. Keller with a 4.92, Falter with a 4.01, and Oviedo with a 6.77. He had a 1 ERA in the minors, so I was like, I'm gonna bring him up, and yeah, didn't really work out for him. Pitching rotation was not necessarily good, but it still has, it's Jones and Skenes. They have potential. Keller is still here, who has potential, but yeah, it was a rough year for all of our guys in the rotation. Lineup wise, let's go look here. I had G1 Bay up because Nick Gonzalez got hurt. 2.82 when he took the place for Nick Gonzalez. 3.14 for Seth Beer. I mean, obviously these guys didn't play very long while they were up. So let's look at the actual majors. McCutchen, 2.47 in what is likely his last year here in Pittsburgh. And he was a great Pittsburgh Pirate, over 2,000 hits in his career, and he got that MVP in 2013. So he, good career, good way to end it here for him, hitting 247. It wasn't a bad season. Only 7 home runs, but hey, he hit the 300 mark, which I think is a big deal. And so, was it a positive WAR season? No, it was not. Okay, that hurts a little bit. He did drop below 50 WAR for his career because he was not necessarily good, and his fielding percentage was pretty bad. So, meh season for him. Andy Rodriguez spent most of the season hurt. Was pretty good though when he was here. 253, 300 on base, 414 slugging. It's kind of what you like to see from Andy as the kind of more balanced catcher of the two between him and Henry Davis. Michael A. Taylor, defensive guy. 234, not bad for him as a defensive guy, and that's all he can do. Edward Olivares played right field almost all season, and yeah, he's one of the reasons why McCutchen did not do as well, because Olivares took his spot and played very well while he was up. So, good season for Olivares. Guerrero never played for us this year. He's only up because Nick Gonzalez is injured. Ke'Bryan Hayes wins a Gold Glove again for him. 139 hits, 252. He spent a good 2 months in the season injured. Otherwise, he would have played every game. And 6 home runs. I want to see more from him. But he's getting on base a little bit more. He's walking more. I like to see that. I think Ke'Bryan Hayes is a big piece to this team's future, especially if he continues to win Gold Gloves. Good season from Connor Joe, who hit 281 and also had a Gold Glove and might be the first baseman for the next several years unless I find somebody to potentially replace him. Brian Reynolds, good year, led the league in walks, was our all-star, and got a Silver Slugger. this year, hitting 278 with 28 home runs, 97 RBIs for him. And that was a 4-5 WAR season, so good for him. Cruz in a platoon role, not necessarily the greatest, 262, 316 on base, but 34 home runs. You'd like to see that type of power. Sawinski was horrible this season. A nice thing, he's actually progressing upwards, but a 193, 301, I mean, at least he's walking, but yeah, yikes. Henry Davis came up and actually started to look decent, I think. 250, 306, basically did the exact same thing that Endy did, with a little bit less slugging, as he was more, well, he's slightly worse than Endy. Eli White, traded for as a defensive guy. Just kind of an interesting defensive replacement that I think will be better than Michael Taylor for the future. Joey Bart was very good this year, hitting 287, 344 average, or 344 on base, and 15 homers. Whether or not we keep him is a different question because we have so many catchers, but I'd like to see it, and he might be a good trade asset if we don't keep him. And Jared Triolo, decent season, 315 on base, 243 average, 6 home runs. Nothing crazy from that. So let's sim this postseason. And the Astros defeat the Dodgers in the World Series. If we take a look, that is a Kyle Tucker World Series MVP, Mookie Betts, and Jordan on this side. So the Astros win again. That is 3 now for them, I want to say, since 2017. So 3. Yep. All right. Well, we're going to go to the offseason. We are going to make a few moves, signing free agents. Definitely got to pick up and clean up our bullpen. And I think the pitching rotation needs a little help too. I like Falter and Oviedo, but I don't like the production from Oviedo. And Falter was all right, but he seems more like a bullpen guy, I think. So we are definitely going to have to boost up this bullpen and and then boost out the outfield because I think we need a center fielder. So hopefully we can find one because Sawinski was bad. Starting 2026 or 2025, we're kind of in an interesting position. We really didn't fulfill our goals whatsoever last year or even in free agency because there wasn't a lot of options. You can see our defense is actually worse than it was the year before. And while our pitching is a little bit better and our rank of our team is a little bit better, a lot of that has to do with just like one free agent signing I made. So in our pitching rotation, we talked about moving Oviedo and Falter over to the bullpen, but I didn't find any free agent pitchers that I thought were worth grabbing, especially because a lot of the ones that I normally get, like I didn't want to just get Mike Soroka again, like I always do, or Flaherty. So we let those guys go as normally, and then we're gonna try getting a pitcher next year, and hopefully also our pitchers that we drafted will get some time to develop then too. And Oviedo and Falter can do what they need to do, and then move over to the bullpen, and Gonzalez and something like that can move off. So in free agency, we did still get some bullpen arms though. I got Bickford out of the Rule 5 draft. I got Caleb Ferguson on a 3-year deal worth $12 million that I thought could be interesting. I don't know. It was I was trying to get him for less, but I was actually in a bidding war with the Dodgers over Caleb Ferguson, so it took me a little bit, but I eventually got him. Carlos Estevez, I brought in to be a setup guy for 3 years, $12 million, and then we still have Bednar closing. So we added a few bullpen arms, but nothing real crazy. When it comes to lineup wise, I talked about getting a center fielder. And I got one, but I only signed him to a short-term deal. That's Max Kepler. I signed him to a 2-year, $18 million deal. He's normally pretty good. I know he's a right fielder, but I thought, he could be a good fill-in guy for now. We can have him for this year, maybe for the following year if no good free agents pop up in the outfield that are available. And so, it might be a temporary fix, a temporary solution, but if not, Kepler could stay here for a while. I also brought back Rowdy. He just batted so well for us that I wanted him as the DH again. So I brought him back on a really, really small deal long term. And then I also extended O'Neal Cruz long term 10-year deal. And I did a descending contract specifically because I know we have the cap space right now. our team's not very competitive. And so O'Neal Cruz on a descending 10-year deal, I think worth I think it was like $77 million. So nothing crazy for him, but hey, we got O'Neal Cruz locked up for a while. I wanted to lock up Jared Jones or Skenes, but it just wasn't necessarily valuable to do that yet. When it comes to like the rest of the league, though, I do want to show you. So the Reds signed Juan Soto. I literally said it was going to happen too. They signed Juan Soto, but you also notice they have Bryce Miller, and they don't have Ellie De La Cruz. They traded Ellie De La Cruz for Bryce Miller and JP Crawford. I haven't ever seen that happen. And now Ellie De La Cruz is with Julio Rodriguez in Seattle, so we'll see how dominant Seattle becomes now with that team being kind of stacked. I don't think we're going to be super competitive this year. Maybe we can fight for a wild card simply because the division is still not great. But our whole goal is develop pitching, develop our guys, and hopefully they can get better this season. And I don't think we'll have any award-winning races. Maybe Skenes or Jones can get themselves into that top 3 and get their check mark for one of the aces in the top 3 of the Cy Young. But I doubt it with how their seasons went last year. And yeah, so we will go to the draft. Now we've got some pitching prospects. We're just going to go for best player available in this next draft. Going into the 2025 draft, we are actually doing very, very well, in a really good position too. While our team defensively wasn't necessarily as good at the beginning of the season as we had wanted it to be, it now is. We are also leading our division. We, in addition to that, have a Cy Young caliber pitcher at the moment who is top 3 in votes, which is what my kind of qualifications are going to be for hitting that goal, getting 3 different pitchers to end up being top 3 in votes. Right now we have 1, but I need him to stay that good right now. I'm not going to tell you who it is because I want that to be a surprise when we get there if he makes it, which I don't know if he will. He's pitching at a 1.98 ERA right now, and I don't think he'll be able to keep that up. All right. Now, when it comes to this draft, a lot of the prospects that we did, we just went full pitchers because I went into the MLB rank, and of the top 30 guys, 27 of them were pitchers when I originally started this draft. So the other one is this Friedenberg guy, who was our number 1 ranked guy. If he's still available, if we get him at pick 3, he will be the pick, though I doubt that he will be there, because I'm going to assume somebody else is going to go for him. Luis Madrid, that would have been my other pick. Also, division rival getting first overall pick sucks. And please, all right, sweet. So, while here's the thing, we could get a top end pitcher, but I think there's also a chance that this Arturo Sosa or Duncan Hoskins are available later. So we are going to go and try to fill out our outfield, getting Robert Friedenberg, who hopefully, once again, we're drafting an opted out guy, is not injured. But top end prospect, possible. He is a very good, very fast guy, all around type player. And I'm hoping that he can be something special for us when we get to him. Now, we're probably going to be drafting almost all. Look at that, Arturo Sosa right there. We're probably going to be drafting almost all pitching now. There is a couple guys that I like as well, but for the most part, the rest of the guys that we have at the top end are all pitching. We have one outfielder who was interesting, who I will draft because I like having a little bit of variety. This is the better player. And that is this D'Angelo Cassidy, but I don't necessarily know if... I think we can probably wait one more round to draft him. And so the question is... All right, I think what we're going to do here, then... I don't want an opted out, but I might just do it. You know what? No, we are going to be safe. We're going to take D'Angelo Cassidy. He could probably wait another round, but I don't want to lose him. And I didn't like that other guy as much. And perfect, he's still here anyways. So we get the 2 guys that we would have wanted in those draft picks. The next guy I want is this Michael Conine guy. we're drafting kind of on want necessarily over value. And then the only top ranked guy that we have still available on our system and based on scouting is this reliever. I guess we'll take him. And now the question is, who else? Yeah, let's do this guy. Miguel Madrid as our last pick. So we drafted a top end center fielder at pick 3, another center fielder, and a couple starters who I hope can be good. But our pitching staff is starting to look pretty good right now already. And I'm hoping that these guys that we're drafting will be able to make it into that rotation. I will show you those picks as soon as we get to that. Sawinski's having another horrible season. So we have a good lefty platoon bat in the outfield. I need a righty platoon bat. And so we're going to go after Matt Wallner, who is on the trade block for the Twins. And we're going to pick up a righty platoon bat. And we're going to give Rowdy, and Alika Williams, and Josh Palacios to AAA kind of guys that I think could be valuable to kind of get our decent replacement for Wallner. And that should hopefully fill in that need and let Sawinski move down to the minors and develop a little bit more. Taking a look at our draft picks, I see a lot of blue numbers on the right side, and that's what I like to see. Now, Robert Friedenberg is not necessarily a good defensive outfielder, and one of the things, like if you're wondering why I'm hammering down so much on the defensive things, knowing that we want to get really good Cy Young level pitching, we need to have better defensive guys so their ERAs stay low. Because I don't necessarily know exactly what is going to help and end up being a big part of like the Cy Young voting in MLBTheShow, but having ERAs slightly lower because walks go down will help our luck kind of get better for our pitching staff, and they'll do a little bit better with better defensive guys behind them. All right, back to the main point. Robert Friedenberg, 91 potential, looks like a great outfielder, is a pretty all-around guy, not necessarily the best defensively, as I just said there, but has a lot of potential to come up and be something extremely valuable for us. How long that takes him is a different question. He's a 67 overall right now. He won't be up for at least 2 seasons, so we might not see him till 2028. Just knowing generally how I end up developing guys, he wouldn't be a bench bat until like 2028. Sosa is pretty far away, 88 potential though, so we'd like to see that. And he's got the good stats that I want to see. Home runs per 9 is pretty poor though. D'Angelo Cassidy is very far away, but all-around guy, so he could be really interesting once he actually gets up there. Bobby Hamlin doesn't really look like a guy who will pitch for us. He's a lower overall, 87 potential, will probably be a guy I will trade off. Conine, I was hoping he was going to be a little closer, but he does have good hits per 9 and walks per 9, so I don't think we'll see him, but I do like what he's got. Valdez, decent reliever. He'll be interesting. He might make the back end of our bullpen when he comes up, and I don't think Madrid will, just because the walks per 9 is so low. So there's a good chance that I trade just about everybody besides Friedenberg and Sosa in this draft. But I say that almost every time I do a draft, and then I never trade anybody. So to make a trade, you got to find an asset that you want, and I don't necessarily know what I want because we're already pretty competitive. And just like that, we are a wild card team playing the Cubs in the first round of the playoffs. 87 and 75. We put together an actually pretty good year, and looks like we went on a run at the end of the season to kind of clinch that wild card spot, winning 5 of our last 6. I wonder, standings wise, because we didn't win the division. Oh, if we win that game against the Padres, we get a division win, but hey, it's the Pirates. We never get that luck. So we don't get the division, sadly, but we are a wild card team. We do want to win a division. That is one of our goals, but not yet. I guess it is 2025. We're pretty early here. All right, taking a look at the awards. 3 Gold Glovers, Connor Joe, Ke'Bryan Hayes, and Max Kepler. MVP goes to Trey Turner in the National League. On the AL side, it is Yordan Alvarez. Looking at the Cy Young, all right, we did not finish in the top 3. We had one guy who was really close, but fell off and fell out of that at the end there. So no Cy Young guys. sadly. So we still have to stack up a little bit more pitching than what we have right now. Nope, not that. League leaders. Oh, wow. William Contreras. All right, hits wise, only 200 hitter on this side is Freddie Freeman. On this side, nobody. And when we look at home runs, we had one guy up there with Kepler with 35, but 43 for Trey Turner led the league on the NL side, and Jordan with 47 on the AL side. Saves, I know that Bednar wasn't the greatest, but 52 saves for David Bednar. Second in the, oh wow, his potential went down. But second in in the NL with 52 saves. Sorry, I was like, his potential went down. Kind of startled me a little bit. And then, yeah, ERA, you can see right there, Johan, he got cold at the end of the season. All right, taking a look at our rotation. They have Oviedo over here right now instead of over here. First, let's go look at AAA. Marco Gonzalez was up all year, 4.27 in the long relief role. Pretty good season for Marco Gonzalez, considering where he was. That'll be probably like a Bailey Falter will be in that spot next year. I think I'm going to let Gonzalez walk and not pay him $8 million next year again. Do we have any other? Jose Hernandez I didn't have up this year. Okay, so at the major league level, Quinn Priester, brought him up, 5 ERA for him, kind of decent, but for a rookie season, not decent, but like for a rookie season, you know, not that bad. Johan Oviedo was our stud this year, 2.62 ERA, 1.1 WHIP with a 2.6 WAR and a 3.94 FIP. This is where I was saying the pitching or the defense is coming in, because that FIP will really help him get luckier when we have good defensive guys behind him. And yeah, he was very good this year. I think just the strikeout numbers didn't really get him up into that that contention for the Cy Young like we would have wanted to see him there. And the rest of our bullpen, Bickford 4.63. Ferguson was looking like a horrible signing right now. I'll hold on to him for another season. But yeah, does not look like a good free agent signing for us right there. Holderman was good, 1.95 something. I'm not gonna try to pronounce that, or maybe I should. Let me be professional. Carmen Maginski. That's how you pronounce that. Okay, 3.98 ERA for Carmen Maginski. 2.08 for Estevez. Morietta was not good. 7.82, and Bednar struggled, blew 7 saves this year, and that's going to hurt him a little bit, but got 52. Jared Jones, 4.1 ERA, 1.41 WHIP at the top of our rotation. Getting slightly better this year, but still, he is letting off too many hits and too many walks for my liking. But progressing pretty well. Skenes up to a 3.86. He was once again at part through the year, he was at a 6.8 ERA, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong with Skenes, because everybody else was doing well and he was not. So he moved to the long relief for a little while, and then I moved him back in the starting rotation, and he was phenomenal after he got moved back over there. Keller, 4.12. I think he got hurt at one point of the year, but did all right. And Falter, 3.84. This will be our long reliever for the next couple years, and because we're going to try to make a free agent signing for one pitcher. And I don't necessarily think Priester's ready yet. I think he's got another option, so we'll send him down next year. And we'll have a rotation of Jones, Skenes, Keller, Oviedo with Falter over here, and we'll grab one more pitcher before our prospects come up, like Jacob Rosales and Bubba Chandler and all the other guys. Lineup wise, first AAA look, Nick Gonzalez got sent down, 2.58, 3.28 on base, 14 home runs. I think he did very well. He will be brought back up. I don't know why they sent him down. Seth Beer, 2.86, only 42 at-bats. Nothing really substantial there. So at the MLB level, you can see Nick Gonzalez was our leadoff, and they sent him down. Henry Davis, 2.47. Still, he's walking a little bit more. I want to see that. I want to see this on base continue to get up. His slugging is getting better. His OPS is getting better. And we're working on developing his defense, because I want him to be a better defensive guy. And you can see that starting to come up, and he's getting a little bit better defensively. This is what you need to see from Henry Davis to be a long-term catcher for us. I know we have a couple But Davis is kind of a big piece in my mind of somebody who you really want to be part of this future. Triolo 298. I think he's platooning as well in the lineup. 298, 375 on base percentage. Dude, he's been phenomenal. Olivares regressed back down to where, oh wow, he regressed further than, yeah, he did not have a good second half. We talked about the whole lefty platoon being set up for Olivares, and he did not do well. Jack Sawinski is still pretty poor. And then, yeah, he didn't play. Kepler. Honestly, fantastic season for Max Kepler. He went up in potential. All right, we're definitely going to accept his club option, and I'm kind of wishing I would have signed him to a little bit longer term because he had a fantastic year for us. 365 on base, 35 home runs. He got a Gold Glove. He got his first Gold Glove of his career and a Silver Slugger. Great season for him. Brian Reynolds still not really doing anything special here. He gets a 251 on base, but decent OPS, not as good as he was last year. And I keep saying nothing special. I'm thinking like I want this Brian Reynolds, and I know he's not this Brian Reynolds, but you know, you still want to see it. Can he be a 5-WAR player again? I don't know. I don't know. We still have him for a long time. O'Neal Cruz, yeah, he's still slugging well, but you want to see more from Cruz. And he's still progressing. He'll get better. Connor Joe, another Gold Glove for him. He's regressing a little bit, but he will stick around. He's too good defensively, even if his hits numbers aren't that great. Cabrian Hayes, core part of this team, 146 hits and 264 average. He's improving a little bit as well. And then Andy Rodriguez, similar, a little bit worse than Henry Davis this year. Matt Wallner was our platoon bat pickup, and he did pretty well in his 107 games that he played. I don't know how many was for us. And then Joey Bart regressed back down a little bit to the mean. I'm thinking I'm going to trade Bart in the offseason. I said I was going to do that last year, but I'm definitely going to do it now that Endy and Henry Davis are doing well. And I don't know what we're going to get for Bart, but we will trade him. So give me 1 minute. I'm going to adjust our lineup to play the Cubs in the wild card, and then we will go to hopefully a little bit further through the playoffs, but they haven't really advanced in a little while, so we'll see how we can do. All right, so this is going to be our setup against the Cubs. We're going to go Jared Jones in the first game against Steele, then Skenes against Bueller, and then Oviedo versus Pivetta in this setup. So we're going to start off with Jones. Jones versus Steele. We lose that one 0-5. Looks like, yeah, we just didn't have any offense this game, and they did a pretty good job of lighting up Jones in the first game. Skenes versus, oh, that was against Shota. My bad. So Steele versus Skenes. Brian Hayes gets injured, and we lose anyways. 2-3. And that looks like, oh, that was a 11th inning given up run by Holderman. So that's a rough way to lose it, but it is what it is. Hey, we made the wild card. We didn't expect to make the wild card. This was a borderline wild card roster that just outperformed themselves a little bit. Let's see how the rest of the postseason goes. And the Braves defeat the Mariners in the 2025 World Series. I mean, I talked a little bit about that Mariners roster being kind of crazy. Braves get another World Series for them, winning in 2025 and 2021, I want to say. Yeah. So Austin Riley gets the World Series MVP, and on the American League, Luke Raley gets the postseason MVP for the Seattle Mariners. Like I said, we're going to go to the offseason. We are going to attempt to get one starter, and I might look at either a first baseman or an outfielder. We don't need anything in the lineup, but if there's something available, I will go for it. There weren't any interesting mid-tier outfielders available in free agency, so I'm going to kind of capitalize on a few of our prospects here, and I'm going to talk to the Milwaukee Brewers. And I like Garrett Mitchell's defensive range, I like his speed, and I like his contact ability. Whether he's capitalized on that so far, I don't think so. We're gonna send him a few prospects. We're gonna send him Jack Brannigan, a top end third baseman prospect. We're gonna send him Robert DeWitt, one of those pitchers I drafted that I didn't think was really going to be anything, or at least was going to take a while before I could use him. And then Lonnie White, one of the actual prospects of their system that I don't think will make our team for us, especially with the guys that we have. And we're going to get Garrett Mitchell. And the trade move we are going to make is we are going to go for Dustin May, who played in a long relief role for the Dodgers this past season. He's on his last year in LA, which kind of gives us a good chance, because I do think that there's a chance that Priester could come up literally the following year, so I don't necessarily want a super long-term deal. And there's a few guys that I talked a little bit about capitalizing on. First off, Jack Sawinski has been underperforming, and when we just traded for Garrett Mitchell, and now we have Friedenberg coming up as well, I don't see much of a future for us with Jack Sawinski, and the other guy being Joey Bart, who has really performed very well for us. I just think we have Henry Davis and Andy Rodriguez who will perform, and I don't want to have 3 catchers on this lineup anymore. So we're going to capitalize on this, Bart and Sawinski, and we're going to get Dustin May. Maybe we can get him to an extension, but I kind of want to see how he performs first, and we'll talk about before we talk about an extension. So Bart and Sawinski for Dustin May. Starting off the 2026 season, we still have not necessarily met our goals defensively, but I think one big part of that is I have a few guys in the center of the lineup that just are not good defensive players, and one of them being O'Neal Cruz. I mean, he does kind of hinder it, and then Henry Davis not being good defensively, but I am currently training the defensive abilities of O'Neal Cruz and Henry Davis on a lot of these bad defensive players. And I think that should help, especially as we continue to develop all the rest of the guys around them and around the team. And hopefully, like a Cabrian Hayes, as he continues to develop, will just kind of carry over the rest of that. So the rest of the lineup, though, looks pretty interesting. And we didn't make many, or really any, free agent signings at all, besides one kind of inconsequential one, because we made the trade for Dustin May, who has 1 year left on his deal, for Bart and Sawinski, and I'm hoping that he can be a big piece here. Otherwise, we are just going to have a Priester will come up next season. If we don't decide to keep May, Falter could also be the guy who's out simply because he doesn't have the potential as much as everybody else, but I still like him as a lefty. Whether or not he maybe just becomes just a permanent bullpen arm is a different question. The other move we made was off of waivers. We signed James Karinchak, who Cleveland decided to waive this season. So we're going with pretty much the same team. I did move Ferguson down simply because I needed a little bit of space with Dustin May coming up. And there's a chance that Ferguson will come back up. We, in our lineup, have only made the few changes that you saw. Plus, I did sign Josh Bell and brought him back to Pittsburgh. I felt like we needed a good bat, a good other first baseman, especially with the chance of Connor Joe not being as good. He has outperformed what I would expect from Connor Joe for the last several seasons, and I'm hoping that can continue, but I'm scared that it will not. And if so, I think Josh Bell is a great guy to just come in and be that if we need it to be. And, maybe Connor Joe gets another Gold Glove, but maybe not. On top of that, you see Leover Puguero is coming up as well. He is out of options. I needed to bring him up. I don't really want to use him. I don't see a lot of value to using him. But he might just be a guy we trade if otherwise, because I don't really like him that much, especially knowing at second base we have Triolo and Nick Gonzalez, who I like both of them. And then we also have Tamar Johnson coming up very soon here. So we have a lot of second basemen, and I don't necessarily see the value in Puguero very much. The rest of the lineup, you can see Garrett Mitchell is here as our kind of another defensive player that we brought in, and just a lot better than what we had before. I do think we are in need of a actual leadoff guy, not Cabrian Hayes, but like a real leadoff actual player. But I still am yet to find one that I see a lot of value in the off season. We could find one maybe in free agency next year. I just didn't want to go out and sign Bo Bichette again like I have in the past. So This season will be an interesting one. We went to the wild card last year. I think we have a shot of making the wild card or even winning our division this year with how good our pitching has become. The question is, can the Bats sustain the production that they have been giving us? And will we see good performances? Also, I did sign Kepler to a 2-year extension. I hope I don't come to regret that. I was afraid that he was going to regress, and I'm already seeing negative signs. But he was so good last year. I rewarded him with that extension. I'm hoping it doesn't come back to bite me. But it's only 2 years. If he loses the value, we will move off of him as soon as possible. Because we do have outfielders coming. So I will see you at the draft, where I would prefer not to draft pitchers because our prospect system of pitchers is kind of insane at this point. So I might pursue some position players, as we've got Jacob Rosales almost here, and Friedenberg will be probably another year away. And then Tamar Johnson should be up here soon too. So we've got a couple prospects that'll be on their way soon. Actually, I do want to check quick where they all rank top 100 wise. Rosales is at 11th. Friedenberg is at 23rd. So the top guys that we drafted, and then Quintero at 41, Sosa at 45, Tamar at 48. So all these top picks are still pretty valuable, but I'd still like to see a little bit more. Oh, okay. I'd still like to see a little bit more from all of them before we end up putting them on the major team. All right. Well, I'll see you at the draft. 2026 draft on the way here. I didn't find a lot of guys within the range that I'll be drafting that were scouting. I found a lot of guys that would move up a little bit. So whether or not we get a top prospect in this one, I doubt it, to be honest. There was a lot of really not a high potential group of players in this one. This might be a lower end draft class for us, especially with how good 2025 went, and even 2024's draft was pretty good for us too. So I tried to do a lot of discovery, knowing I was going to have a later pick, and I just wasn't hitting those discoveries as much as I needed to. So we did not get as lucky, and of course that was probably the player I was the most interested in. Goes one pick before us, Duncan Pratt. That's great to see. And then Luis Cano was one too, but I didn't think he was going to be there. All right. There are some guys still here, some decent pitchers, that I think I can wait on a little bit longer. The question is, once again, do you take the risks on a lot of these players? I think there's a chance that this one, I might go with John Hunter here. He's not going to be there in the next pick. I could go team rank quick and just double check. A couple interesting pitchers at the top end, and then this Lucero guy who I did not scout fully. So, you know what? I know he opted out. He's probably not a top end guy. Probably a waste of a first round pick, but I'm going to take him. Josh Hunter. And then, oh, that other pitcher was gone. Okay. So we are going to go with, I think, Jamal Boucher. Boucher, I'm going to call him. And then he has no potential. And yeah, I am aware, by the way, if anybody is wondering, I know that potential is not everything in this year, but what it does help if you draft for potential is it helps you be able to trade players. It's going to be way easier for me to trade these guys who are considered to have higher potential, even if they don't have, I guess, skill sets that are super valuable to me. I'm going to take Pinto. Still a couple interesting guys here. I'm going to take... We're going to take Fiore. I want to take Reed next, but he's gone. Okay, that's okay. I didn't know which one of those guys were going to be available. I thought Fiore would be more interesting or more valuable. I guess we are at pick 127, so we have 3 more picks left to take. And who do I have here? Molina, no. Stoddard, no. Do I want to waste all of these picks? Not particularly. Not a single one of these guys have skill sets I want, to be honest. Cisneros isn't going to be good. All right, we're going to go with one of those first basemen. I'll take Stoddard. And we'll take Ortega. And one of these guys, you know what? He's injured. He's not. He's not. Which one of these think? All right, we're going to try this guy. We're just going to go for it. Johnny Yancey. Okay, so that's our draft. We are in first place in our division. At one point, after the first month, I want to say we were 19-3. So yeah, this team has been phenomenal. They're cooling down. They are cooling down. But man, this team has been really good this year. I don't know if I'm going to make any trades. I might make some. I might make a minor move at the deadline to fix the lineup a little bit. But our pitching staff has been phenomenal, and a lot of our lineup has been too. Sadly, Ke'Bryan Hayes got hurt, and he'll be out for a little while, which does hurt our defense and will hurt the pitching a little bit. But he'll be back by the time we get to the playoffs. I'm going to clean up the bullpen a little bit. Some of our bullpen arms have been underperforming. So we're going to have to go talk to the Rays, who are in last place in the entire American League. And we are going to trade them Maginski and Karinchak. Both guys who are in our rotation, but they have a lot of years left. I feel like the Rays would be able to find a way to turn these guys into something because they have not done well for us. So Clevenger for Karinchak and Maginski. Taking a look at our draft picks, we kind of did a little disappointing at the top end, getting like Hunter not necessarily being that great and Boucher not being that great, but I think we did well down the road. The two first basemen, Fiore and Stoddard, both actually look like very interesting prospects at first base, and that's kind of the position I was really honing in on, trying to fix this offseason, or in the draft, because besides Connor Joe and Josh Bell, I don't think either of those guys have long-term potential at first, and none of our other guys really do either. So I'm basically trying to fulfill a position that I don't necessarily think we have much future in our prospects. We did trade for some, but I haven't seen much development from any of them. But yeah, our draft pick's not necessarily the greatest. Boucher, no, not that good. Hunter, I mean, he's got an interesting bat already and could be quite interesting at the top end with how those contact stats are. Might just be a decent player, like in general, as like a bench bat. Pinto, nothing good there. Ortega wasn't that good. And Yancey, he was a risk. 81 potential as a closer. I'll take it. Will he make it for us? Probably. Actually, he might in the bullpen. He's already a 70 overall at the age of 19. His walks per nine is pretty low. I do want to take a look. I mean, a lot of the guys that I saw were top end guys. I do see some guys here. So Reed was good. Who did we take over him? Because I think I took Fiore over him. So I'm not too mad because Fiore was also good. But yeah, it looks like a pretty weak class. I didn't scout shortstops. Benoit right there was pretty good. There was Lucero, who wasn't that great. Yeah, nothing real crazy here in this draft. I don't see any players that I'm like, oh no, I missed on them, and I'm really upset about. Diego Molina was a guy that I had on my board, but I didn't really like. He was so far off. McGee, Greg Who. Yeah, who was there was one player, and this is my fault for always forgetting right before the picks. Was it Duncan Pratt? 79 potential. So basically the same level of the guy that we ended up getting in Josh Hunter. So I'm not that upset. I think we did an okay job this draft. We are still in first place in our division at 70-44. I think this will be the Pirates' first division title in the NL Central. and I'm hoping that we can get a Cy Young to go along with it. The Pirates win 103 games and win their first ever NL Central title. Regular season coming to an end with another win streak, by the way. This was a 13-game win streak to end the season, winning 17 of our last 18 games. I mean, it's a great way to end, but you have a bye. It's going to be a little rough to deal with, as we do have some award winners. Cy Young award goes to Paul Skenes. That's one. We've got one Cy Young caliber pitcher, apparently, and third in the MVP also. So Paul Skenes developing very quickly. He goes from a 5.8 to a 3.86 to a 2.56 in 3 seasons, moving up to already being a 6-WAR player this quickly through his career is a nice thing to see. You have Corey Seager winning the MVP on the other side at Texas. Paul Skenes right there beating out Freddie Peralta at the end of the season for the Cy Young. Bednar second in reliever of the year. I do want to see, because we have been looking at Gold Gloves, but it doesn't look like we have any this year. Partially that is also because of Ke'Bryan Hayes' injury. He missed some time, and that does hurt his ability to get that. League leaders: Skenes ERA, Bednar saves, Jones whip, and Skenes with WAR. We had a very good season all around. Whoa! This guy is good already. Okay, Walter By, the shortstop that we didn't take because of the injury, already a 200 hit guy. Literally, when I talked about needing, I wanted a leadoff guy, and this has been the guy. But you know, we avoided the risk. We didn't take him, but man, he's been good already. Home runs leader goes to Matt Olson with 46. Pete Alonso on the other side with Cleveland now with 48. With saves leaders, I believe we said that we had our leader with Bednar getting 52 saves in back-to-back seasons. Pitching a little bit better as he only blew 5 saves this year, not 7. Romano on the other side getting 50. The one thing I wanted to show you, though, I think when I looked at our rotation, is 347, 256, 296. While I don't think that they are not, while the game is saying they're not necessarily Cy Young caliber, I would believe that they are. So I think we still have some work to do. We need to get these guys and Jones and Oviedo up to that, because man, they've just put together. Oviedo put up back-to-back really, really good seasons. Jared Jones put up a really good season this year, and Skenes winning the Cy Young. And Dustin May as well. I signed him to a contract extension, knowing how great of a season he just had. Our bullpen still needs a little bit of work, but I think that we are in a good position here. Now, the one thing that I got to say is I think Falter's going to be gone and Priester's going to come up, which does question when is Rosales going to make his debut. I think he'll make his debut next season in the bullpen in a long relief role, which means that I think we're going to let Falter go, or I'm going to sign him I'm going to give him the arbitration deal, and then I'm going to try to trade him for something. Might be a low tier prospect, but we're going to get something back for him before we let him walk. Because Rosales, I do want to have come up this next season. But our pitching rotation was phenomenal. We were one of the best pitching rotations in all of the league this past year. If we look at AAA, just to kind of look at who got sent down, nobody sent down in AAA. In the lineup, Henry Davis, major regression. I was hoping that we were going to see some positive things from him. Now, it's not really a small sample size, but man, yeah, major regression from Henry Davis this year. Did not see, and the thing is, he was improving. He was getting better. But yeah, not what you like to see from Henry Davis, who, 0.2 WAR, not what you want to see from him. Jared Triolo, 260 average, pretty good season from him, hitting 119 hits. He took over the third base spot for Ke'Bryan Hayes when Hayes was, maybe somebody did get sent down. Who got sent down? I don't see it, because it says somebody was out of the lineup. Either way, we will take a look at it in a second. G1 Bay called up for 70, and then Pio Paguero, somebody who I am going to trade. He has no place in this lineup for us. Oh, yeah. Somebody went out. Somebody got hurt. All right. So in the actual lineup, or Connor Joe got hurt. Brian Hayes, 245, missed a good amount of time this season. He's beginning to look a little injury prone. He's missed several games in 3 straight seasons. And I don't like to see that, even though he is still one of the best defensive players in all of baseball, 1,000 fielding percentage. You don't want to see these injuries. And I have him already locked up long term because I like him a lot. And I think, unless that was his deal, I think he signed that naturally. I don't think I signed that. But Brian Hayes, do want to see him stay healthy because I think that he has a chance to be a very big piece, especially with the defensive identity we're trying to build here. Nick Gonzalez, another great year for him. This is why I want Peguero to be gone, because I think Gonzalez is a definite starter at second base, with Triolo being the other one and Tamar Johnson still coming. But none of these guys have first base secondary either, which is a big thing if Connor Joe is going to need to be replaced. Now, Max Kepler could end up being a first baseman after he hits 305 this season, getting himself 35 home runs. That extension, I was worried about regression. Doesn't look like it's going to be that bad for him, as Kepler regressed a little bit defensively. He might be somebody who maybe I'm just going to move to first base just to like, and then we make room in the outfield and bring up one of our prospects. Cruz, 270 average, 29 home runs. Still, I want to see more from him, but 851 OPS. He's now a 3.7 WAR player. His fielding percentage is bad. He is not a good defensive player. He might be a DH, honestly. I think he would be better in the DH role. And so maybe we do look and say Triolo could play shortstop in the future. Tamar could come up and Cruz moves to the DH. Wallner, another decent season being a platoon right fielder. Brian Reynolds, he played DH this season. 23 home runs, 250 average. Good season from him. And Garrett Mitchell, much improved over last year. 258 average, 27 home runs. 27 from 9 to 27. Found the power in his bat this season. Garrett Mitchell, changing his OPS up there. So I saw some potential there, and I think he's going to capitalize on it. Now the question is, can we get him some gold gloves? Andy Rodriguez, even though Henry Davis had a bad season, Andy had a good season. He's trending up. So you like to see it. He had his best season of his own career this past year. So I need to adjust. I think what we're just going to do is we are going to go Kepler at first. We're going to go Brian Reynolds. Here, I'm going to have, We're going to have Brian Reynolds there at right field. And I think we're going to go Triolo at shortstop for this game. And then on this lineup, I have a few things I have to adjust, I guess. Oh, they sent down Olivares, who hit 210. So our lefty platoon, not as good this season. Our lefty platoon getting worse, while our righty platoon, I knew that there was somebody missing, so sorry about that. We're going to move once again there. Triolo will play at the shortstop position, which will allow DH to be Cruz. This for lefties, and I don't want Wallner playing against lefties out there, so I guess maybe not. Maybe we will go Bell? Yeah. Yep, that's what we're going to do. Josh Bell out in the outfield if we play against a lefty. Because I could put in Henry Davis, but I just don't trust it. And pitching rotation we already have set pretty well. Only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move... Nope. Oh, Morietta got brought up, and Estevez got sent down. Sorry, I've normally been not showing this part, but I didn't think that there was a lot of... I didn't think that there was a lot of things that we had to fix, but I guess there was. I'm not going to bring up... I'm not going to bring up Olivares. Okay, so... For the playoffs, We have Jared Jones, not our Cy Young, starting off. Skenes ended off in... Oh, okay. I pressed triangle on accident there. All right. Well, we lose game 1. Jones gives up 4 runs against Christopher Sanchez. Paul Skenes wins 1-0 with 6 strikeouts, giving up no runs. I do want to see. Only giving up 7 hits in that time. Oviedo versus Zach Wheeler. We get that win. That's a 4-1 lead. So 2-1 lead. Dustin May versus Jordan Montgomery. We lose that one. I think the question is, do we want to go Keller or Jones? And I think what would be safe is just to go Keller. And I think that's what we're going to do. And we lose that. Hey, it's our first playoff series. I don't mind it necessarily. The Phillies go on to win the World Series, defeating the Royals. If we take a look at the awards, Gleyber Torres wins World Series MVP, though I think he probably had like 4 at-bats. Bryce Harper postseason MVP on this side, and Harold Sanchez postseason MVP on this side. So the Royals go from, just like we went from the 3rd pick to a playoff team, they went from the 4th pick to a playoff team pretty quickly. So this offseason, we are going to trade Falter. We might look for a first baseman with Connor Joe's injuries and the regression there. And I think what we could start looking for is maybe we're going to trade Falter and Wallner and look for a different outfielder so that we don't have a platoon guy. I don't know what we're going to do necessarily. It depends on who's available. But we are going to make some changes at first base, outfield, and the pitching rotation this upcoming offseason. We're going to make one big trade. We're going to trade Peguero, Falter, and Matt Wallner, 3 MLB level guys, for Justin Martinez, Drew Jones, and Ruben Santana, 1 reliever, and 2 prospects from the Diamondbacks, hoping that this can help kind of clear up some space, as I have an idea of what I want to do in the outfield, and I think we're going to move Kepler to first. Because I'm making a few moves and Triolo might play shortstop a little bit, I do want to have 1 bench shortstop. And while his contract's not necessarily great, we still are dealing with the arbitration deals of Skenes and Jones, so we still have a little bit of cap space. I think a good bench bet, and he's coming off a bad year, so maybe I'm completely wrong on this, will be Trevor Story, who also plays really good defense. Or maybe he's a starting shortstop and DH. We just need we need to injury-proof our roster a little bit in the middle infield because Tamar is not ready yet. So Trevor Story is going to be traded for Bell and Beer. Basically, it's a salary dump for them, and I'm getting off of 2 guys that I'm not going to use. And to start off the 2027 team, we have finally accomplished our goal of having a top 10 defense, having now ranked number 1 defense on our entire team. We made a few moves in order to try to capitalize on this, and this is even with, I think, O'Neal Cruz still starting at shortstop. So a lot of this defense improvement should help. We're going to have a really good pitching season, I think, as well, because of the defensive rankings. And we cleared out the top end of our farm system right now. So with that in mind, we still have some guys coming up soon. We have that center fielder that we drafted, and we have Tamar Johnson coming up soon. Those 2 guys are the big pieces that are on their way. And on top of that, that's going to help move some room around for when actually we need to move positions around when these contracts are expiring. Same thing, we have a bunch of our pitching guys coming up. Rosales should come up at some point this season, though I might wait off of him because he's technically not in the 40-man yet, so I might be able to, maneuver some eligibility a little bit before we end up doing that. Anyways, to take a look at our roster, first we start the pitching rotation. You can see we made no significant changes. We made the Justin Martinez trade that we talked about, and then I got Elvis Peguero in off of waivers from Milwaukee. So we ended up getting that. Moretta's coming back up. I don't know if I want Moretta up. He's been bad when he's been up, but yeah, whatever. Priester's going to be there in the long relief role this season and pitch in that spot. I think he did a decent job in it in the 7 games he did. Otherwise, we have Rosales is ready, I think, and Solometo is ready as soon as they want to come up. And honestly, Rosales will be really good. So I'm trying to save as much eligibility as possible because contracts are going to start getting tight for us in the pitching rotation. Right now, just to take a look at the major league level pitching rotation, I want you to see this. May, Oviedo, and Keller are long-term locked up. Thankfully, with a descending deal for May, a descending deal for Oviedo, and then we still have the 2 more years of Keller. But Skenes and Jones have 3 more years under arbitration that we get to worry about. Thankfully, that's going to keep those guys cheap for a little while, but we also have our bullpen that we need to worry about. Esteves is coming up soon. Clevenger is coming up. Paguero still has arbitration, and Holderman is coming up in 2 years. So we're gonna get into a financial tight budget soon, and so we need to start considering how are we gonna make that money fit, because Skenes and Jones are probably gonna both cost about $30 million a year in order to be able to sign. Now we're gonna backload those as much as possible, but it's still gonna be a tight fit. When it comes to the lineup, we made one significant move, and that was to go in and get Dalton Varsho. Literally the best defensive outfielder that I could get. And while, yes, it looks like he's another platoon guy, I think you guys know that Varsho is very, very good in this game, and he's so good defensively that I want that. He's going to get some gold gloves for us. And besides that, we kept the team mostly the same. Now, like I said, we cleared out some space, meaning that now Drew Jones is up, and Trevor Story is that bench shortstop. So we don't have a whole lot of movement around. Connor Joe's still going to play first base this year, but this is his last year on his deal. And then Kepler will take that spot the year after, as we will make space for Friedenberg to come up the following year. Hopefully, he'll be ready to come up at least. We also have that first baseman, Tucker Mitchell, which is playing catcher right now. That first baseman, and now, yeah, whatever. I'll fix that. But that first baseman, Tucker Mitchell, who we did trade for in the beginning, who could be an interesting guy at first, too. So, looking at our team, this should be a team that is once again competing for the NL Central. The NL Central is starting to look a little bit more competitive, simply just based on the teams that are in it. You can see the Cardinals are 24th, but everyone else is now a top-end team here in one way or another. And hopefully what that means for us is that, they'll cannibalize themselves a little bit. And give us a chance to kind of run away in this division. We are getting tight on money. We have $9 million this year, and then we're still going to start locking things up. So we're running out of time while we have money, at least. Free agent moves are going to start becoming tight. I think there's a chance that we move off of, and this is also because I'm holding on to this Trevor Story contract, but we're going to hold on to this contract for 2 years. And then after that, probably have to pay everybody. So let's hope that we can make a good competitive run, maybe to the NLCS this season. Hopefully win the division. And yeah, so we're going to go to the draft. I think the things we are looking to fulfill, I want you to know in this, going to try to fulfill, is I want a backup catcher, another catcher prospect, in order to try to kind of fulfill this, because one of these guys is not going to stay when they both come up at the same time. We drafted a bunch of first basemen, so I think first base is good. And then I think we could use a shortstop and then more outfield guys. Because besides Friedenberg and Cassidy, we could still use a lot there. And Drew Jones is good too, but we still use a lot there as we continue to try to stack up our roster and our farm system. Let's hope that this season can be a Cy Young and a World Series contending roster. We still need to get 2 top 3 vote getters in Cy Young in order to accomplish that goal. Now, I do think we have 3 Cy Young caliber pitchers, if not 4, with Dustin May as well. But I want the opinion to be objective, not subjective. You know what I mean? So, we're going to hopefully have another great season out of the pitching staff and the mustache man. And yeah, we will see you at the draft. So I just want to jump in and show you this right now. This is also, by the way, the third, I'm not kidding you, the third no-hitter that has gone into the 9th inning for the Pirates rotation. First, it was Jones did it in April, and then Oviedo did it right after that, and now May. I didn't show either of them because I jumped in and I watched, and they blew it right away. So I was hoping I wouldn't have to jump in and blow it, but I jumped in and watched this one. He's made it through through 2 batters. So with 2 outs, let's watch as Dustin May tries to get himself a no-hitter against the Chicago Cubs. I mean, the pitching staff is still phenomenal. It's right now the team isn't looking like they're the best that they have been, but you know, you also got to when you got a no-hitter opportunity, I got to jump in and watch. 0-1 count. That's a pop-up. And Dustin May gets a no-hitter with the Pittsburgh Pirates as we get ourselves a fantastic outing for Dustin May. One of our I think we can take credit for kind of developing that out of him, because he was a guy who was just a long reliever when we traded for him. So no hitter for Dustin May, 10 strikeouts, and yeah. Through the 2027 draft, there was a lot of really, really interesting prospects in this draft class. We do have pick 26, so we are a little limited from getting a lot of the top end ones, but there were so many decent guys in the middle that I liked a lot, especially at shortstop and at catcher, 2 positions that we are attempting to kind of, draft here in order to replace and get some other players in. And I think I found a lot of late round guys. Now, I also think there's a chance that we could swing and miss a lot. 2 catchers get drafted. And thankfully, neither of them were the ones that I liked. All right. So, first off, look at the defense on this Sawyer Blankenship guy. I like it a lot. He doesn't have a lot of offense to his game, and it does make him kind of a limited interest, I guess, to me. This is one of my favorite prospects of this whole draft, Gilberto Ramirez, who I 100% will be drafting. And we have 2 firsts and 2 seconds, thanks to Skenes and Jones's phenomenal production thus far. But what we are going to do is I think we're going to go pitcher first or Blankenship. The thing with Blankenship is he just doesn't have enough offense. I think that's one thing that I've been limiting, that I've been doing a little poorly when I've been attempting to get these defensive guys, is he just doesn't have enough offense, and a lot of them haven't had enough offense to make sure that they have any value. So the question is, do we go Fuqua? I kind of like that Cruz is a lefty. His walks per 9's pretty low, though. Oh, but Fuqua's is even worse. I think we're going to go Cruz. Yes, we're going to go Cruz. Luis Cruz will be our first pick. Fuqua's still here. But I think he is non-ranked. I can't risk it. I have to take Ramirez. He's too interesting of a prospect. You can't even risk missing a guy like that. Taking a look at the rest of our scouts here and guys that we have this catcher who's pretty all around. We have another starting pitcher right here who could be interesting, and then there's a bunch of catchers and shortstops and stuff. I think I'm gonna take Acevedo, or not Acevedo. Do I want Acevedo? No, I don't. There's so many good catchers later. All right, we're going to take Edward Lewis, which is just basically the same guy again. Acevedo is still here. Do I go Acevedo or Gomes? I think we'll go Acevedo. And now we go... He doesn't have as much potential as Castro, but Sestaro. But Sestaro's injured. We are going to hold off on drafting Sestaro. I do want to draft him. I know he's injured, but I feel like you just we'll take a swing on him. Clemente Diaz is still here. Sestaro is still here. I think we'll wait one more and we'll take the Sestaro pick next. So I think the question is, do we go... Diaz just probably won't be anything interesting. Yeah, we're going to take Sestaro here. Because then we can take Diaz here. And with our last pick, we can take... Man, they both aren't that good. This will be a draft pick where I was like, oh, it could be good here. You know what we're going to do? We're just going to take whatever guy has the highest potential. Which I guess is Elmore? Or is it that second baseman? Elmore. He's probably not good, but Rincon didn't look that good either. So that's our draft pick. And okay, Sestaro will probably be hurt by that injury. So we'll see how much that hurts Sestaro, but I think we drafted well anyways. I just wanted to take the swing, and we drafted good catchers anyways, so I didn't really care. Taking a look at our draft picks, I didn't realize I drafted that many catchers in a row. It kind of looks funny when you look at it like that. Cruz is, well, he's a ways away. I don't see him being a guy for us on our team by the time that we are a contender. And also, you got to think the amount of pitchers that we have. I don't think Cruz fits in that group. Ramirez is a safe pick, a good defensive guy, could be a good get up to a decent hitter, but mainly a defensive shortstop. Looks more like a platoon guy, but then also you see the 91 potential, and that's not generally a guy that you have as a is kind of one of those not platoon. What's the utility guy? Because he can play so many positions, but not normally a guy you see like that. Edward Lewis kind of fits the same category, but with less of the defense and more of the offense. And he's technically closer, but I don't necessarily see that. I think the reason is because the power that Ramirez doesn't have. I mean, neither of them have power. But interesting shortstop prospects. At the catcher position, we have Acevedo here, who... decent bat, decent fielding. I like it. 79 potential. Will definitely be a great bench catcher. Calderon is further away. Sestaro is really far away, but has the most potential out of all of them. And then Diaz is more of the bat and is closer than technically all of them. And then Eloy Elmore, 78 potential first baseman. I mean, that's not bad. High C potential first baseman. Could be interesting. This will be the last draft that we show. The CPU will take over a drafting for the rest of our time here. But as you can see, we have now filled up our farm system of shortstops and catchers after filling up our first baseman last year, our center fielders the year before, and our pitching farm is kind of intact. We are in first place once again in our division, having a good season. I just want to show quick top prospects though. Like, we have a fantastic farm system right now. We have Rosales, who should be up soon. Friedenberg should be up soon. Tamar is ready. He is ready to go. I'm going to wait a little bit longer. It's the same thing with Rosales and Friedenberg. So literally by next season, Rosales will be up. Friedenberg will be up. Tamar will be up. And I think that will be a big difference of moving our farm guys ready, because they're not coming up this season. Tamar might in September. But otherwise, I think that we have a good farm system built up, one of the best farm systems in all of baseball, as we contend for another playoffs and another NL Central. That's another NL Central Division title as we go 95-67, and we'll be playing the Padres in the beginning of the division, even getting swept by the Brewers at the end to kind of end that run. No awards. Not what you'd like to see. Skenes is in there, so we still technically only have one Cy Young caliber pitcher. And I don't think that's... I think that's part of it is like... that is out of our control. Skenes won the Cy Young, but the other pitching on our staff has been good. It's just not good enough. I don't even think we got ourselves our MVP back-to-back, by the way, Matt Olson and Seager on the other side. Shane Bieber over here getting his, and Aaron Nola on this side. But Brian Hayes, second in the batting title. Fantastic season for Brian Hayes then. No gold. Okay, Brian Hayes gets a gold glove at least. Dalton Varsho gets a gold glove. Garrett Mitchell and Kepler were in the race for gold gloves as well. Silver Slugger race, nobody for us, as we did not necessarily have as powerful an offense this year as we did last season. So that is kind of what we got hindered by this year. No great offense this year, mainly a great defense and pitching, except for Brian Hayes, who is absolutely phenomenal and has finally played a healthy season. We saw what we could get out of him. 14 home runs, 316, 840 OPS, 7 WAR season. That's what I want to see right here. Amazing season for Brian Hayes then. League leaders, I should probably look actually quick. Batting average, Mookie Betts and Seager on the other side. If we look at hits, 192 for Austin Riley and 204 over here for Seager. Go over to the home run race. Bryce Harper with 49 and Matt Olson second with 46. And on this side, Seager leading with 47 and then the two Guardians right after. Save leaders were we had Camilo Duvall and Bednar, by the way, who I took out of the closer role because he was so bad with 41 saves. Still gets 41 saves despite having an awful season. And yeah, when I look at our actual team, let's first look at this over here. So Caleb Ferguson, 386 in 7 appearances, 386 for Dory Moretta in 49 appearances, and Carlos Estevez in 17 appearances with a 176. All those guys get sent down. We will bring all of them back up for the actual race. Priester with a 4.32 in the long relief role all season. He never started a game, but there's a chance he could start soon. I don't know. Pitching is starting to get a little crowded, especially just looking at the top end and knowing what guys we have coming up. We have Rosales, Solometo, Bubba Chandler all the way. Like, Rosales is ready. So how we're going to make that work, I don't know, especially knowing that you have Jones and Skenes, both at 99 overall, dominating at the top end. Jose Fernandez never pitched. Peguero was a bad pickup off the waiver wire. I should have just cut him. He was not good, but I guess we have another year of him. Clevenger, 365 for him. Bednar was not good at all this year. 517, 10 blown saves. He looked pretty bad. And Justin Martinez was a good pickup, but that 141 whip shows that, he might have just got a little lucky with the great defense that we have on our team this year. Starting rotation, Skenes getting second in the Cy Young with a 306 and a 114 whip. Jared Jones with a 339. He had 242 strikeouts this year, so these two guys are absolutely killing it. Jones is a Cy Young caliber pitcher. I think that's no lie. It's the losses that he's getting accumulated to him that are hurting, because apparently a 298 FIP. Yeah, he had a great season. Defense kind of hurt him a little bit this year behind him, which sucks because we have the #1 rated defense. And Skenes got a little luckier in his starts than Jones did. Dustin May with 3.7. He also had that no-hitter that he threw this season, so 402 FIP for him. Great pitching. Oviedo regressed a little bit, back down to the mean with a 4.75 this season. He just gave up a bunch of homers, which hurt him a lot. And then Mitch Keller, for a lot of the season, was pitching in a 2 ERA. I thought he might be the guy to get up there, but he just fell back down to a 3.21, which, by the way, this is still a crazy pitching staff. I'm going to have Oviedo at the bottom of that for the playoff run. Lineup-wise, looking at our AAA, Drew Jones I had up in the beginning of the year, but he was not very good, so he still needs some time to develop and will come up later on. I don't think he'll be ready yet. So at the major league level, Henry Davis back up to 255, so this looks like a fluke year in 2026, and maybe he's back to normal. And this is why you don't necessarily need to freak out, I guess, when you see a guy have a year like this. You just gotta have to put him on the bench and let him let him chill a little bit with like Henry Davis, and it helped him progress a little bit more. And I think he had a good season. Nick Gonzalez had a down year, so this is what I mean by that. Gonzalez, we didn't freak out, didn't go and replace him. I just moved him to the bench. He didn't get as many opportunities this year, and we will give him another shot next year to improve. Story, honestly, wasn't bad. We brought him in. He came in at 739 OPS. Now he's overpaid. Granted, he's making $23 million, but I'll take it. He actually went up and progressed a little bit this season as a shortstop. And G1 Bay came in too. Brian Hayes had an absolutely amazing season for him. Just getting better, and he's the perfect third baseman for us. Exactly the cornerstone to build around. Connor Joe, a little bit of a regression. No Gold Glove for him. I think he's hit his wall. He's not coming back. But he had a good several years for us, getting 2 Gold Gloves and even having a really good season last year. Glad that we got good production out of Connor Joe. Max Kepler, he's regressing hard. We have 1 more year of him. I shouldn't have signed that extension now that I think about it. But I think what we can do is we can hold off for 1 more year and hope that we have just a little bit of cash to spare for Kepler for this next season, because I don't really want to dump him, because we have $14 million for Kepler and $23 million for Story next season, and both of them I want to say like we could dump, but to be fair to the rest of the computer teams, I would want to attach a prospect to that, and I don't really want to attach prospects. Dalton Varsho had a regression, which is crazy because he hit 295 this year, had a really good season, 31 home runs, 866 OPS, and 1,000 fielding percentage, getting himself a Gold Glove. But you see a little bit of regression there across the board. Maybe it's just because he's a little older, and he just did, I guess, poorly against lefties because he went up against righties. Triolo picked up the slack that Nick Gonzalez left behind this season. Garrett Mitchell, another good year, 23 home runs, 266, 344 on base percentage. Andy Rodriguez was the worst of the 2 catchers this year, so it's funny because I don't necessarily know which one to pick every year now. And O'Neal Cruz started off the year horrible. That's why you can see him in the bottom. He was in the 100s below the Mendoza line until like the All-Star break, where it looks like he at least got some power back, hit 22 home runs. And yeah, not a great season from him necessarily. You want to see more of this, less of this. So I think our lineup is actually already set. I don't have to make many changes, but I'm going to make a few quick changes, and then we will play our series against the San Diego Padres. All right, so for our 2027 playoffs, let's hope that we can make ourselves through our first round and actually win ourselves a playoff series. We have Jared Jones versus Cortez, Paul Skenes versus Robbie Snelling, and then Dustin May versus Ryan Bergert. So we have the pitching matchup, but can our offense produce? That's the other question. So, game 1, Jared Jones gives up 4 runs, gives up 2 in the first, and that kind of kills it a little bit. I guess they do have Vladdy and all that. So, Skenes versus Snelling in game 2, and that is a loss. We lose 4-5. Elvis Aguero gives up the runs. I made a mistake again by not getting rid of him and allowing him to pitch in the bullpen. Hurts us a lot, as Skenes only gives up 2 in 6 innings. And Paguero blows the game for us, giving up 3 in the 7th. Yeah. So that's another season where we lose without getting a single win in the playoffs. The Braves win another World Series, getting themselves their 3rd now in the 2020s. And Matt Olson gets World Series MVP and I believe MVP this season. And the Twins make it, and Jake Rogers gets the postseason MVP. We are on the line. Like, our money is going to be tight. I already signed Paul Skenes to an extension. So we're going to see what we can do in the offseason in order to try to keep that money and make the money work, as we are at the edge of our budget. And I might have to package some prospects with some of our older guys in order to make that work. But yeah, we'll see what we can do to keep under budget and add a little bit of offense, because we are still lacking offense. Mitch Keller's in the last year of his deal, and we have a surplus of pitching depth. Despite being a fantastic pitcher this past year, I think we just kind of have to save that extra cash, knowing that we're not going to bring him back the year after. So in order to try to get the maximum value, we're going to trade him in the offseason, and we're going to package him with the prospect Mitch Jebb to get prospect Ryan Smith, the top prospect from the Rangers system. In a bit of another cash dump that we are going to do, we're going to trade Trevor Story. We are going to attach Dean Stoddard and a potential first baseman, as well as Colin Holderman, who is a piece that they could use to the Atlanta Braves, the defending champions. We're going to give them Trevor Story, Colin Holderman, and Dean Stoddard for 3 basically low-level prospects that could become something, but are nowhere near the major league level right now. Starting the 2028 season, we are going to be trying to reach our goal of actually winning a playoff series first. We still have not won one yet, and I think that's kind of an essential piece to the path to a World Series. But it kind of makes some of the other goals a little bit secondary. However, I think this offseason we did a really good job of clearing up some space, which allows us to work some money around. And technically we have a little bit of budget for the next 2 seasons. I don't plan on signing Jared Jones early. One of the reasons for that is I think we just need to take advantage of the 2 years of arbitration with him. Hopefully we can win a World Series in these next 2 seasons while we still have him under that. Because once he becomes available to be a free agent, we are going to need to lock him down to a big deal, backload it, so that way that money doesn't overlap with Skenes. And so I need that contract to come in and kick in later, which means I need to continue to wait. We have money to work with right now. As you can see, our budget has cleared up a little bit, and we have $26 million in space right now. Is that a lot? No, but it's a start. We have one last year of Max Kepler, and that will end up disappearing at the end of this season, which hopefully that prospect that we traded for from the Rangers will end up taking that place at first base. So pitching rotation wise, first we lost Mitch Keller in a little bit of a salary dump, and in that Quinn Priester is going to move over to starter, and right now I have Braxton Ashcraft up here. The reason for that is he is out of options, so I would rather just let him start up here. If he is really bad, then we will move Rosales up. Rosales is, I think, ready, but he is yet to pitch in AAA yet. Oh, no, he did pitch in AAA last year, but I want him to pitch a little bit in AAA this season before we move him up into the rotation. And he will be a long reliever. He will be up at some point this season. Whether that's September or earlier is the question of how well Braxton Ashcraft does. Solometo is in the same position, but a little bit worse, so he's going to be a little bit further away and a little bit longer down that line. Otherwise, bullpen, we kept exactly the same, except that we let a lot of those guys go, losing Holderman. I kept Peguero here. I probably shouldn't have, but maybe he can put together a better season than he did last year. It was just bad last year. We have bullpen arms ready, though. Yancey is low walks per 9, but as a lefty reliever, has a good chance. And then I have 2 more. I have a lefty reliever right here who could end up being something, and then another one here who could end up being something. So a couple relievers that are on their way. Lineup-wise, first off, MLB, I got Monasterio out of the Rule 5. I did bring back Connor Joe on a 2-year club option. Basically, I wanted somebody who could hit lefties, and I wanted somebody who was cheap. There were a couple guys who were available to hit lefties. Monasterio was one of them. Joe was the other. You can see a lot of second baseman here. That's because basically we are stuck in that point where Ji-hwan Bae is out of options. And I think it's time for Tamar Johnson to actually be up at the major league level. Now, Tamar is going to be a bench bat this season for the most part, but he should get a good amount of time, saying that our goal this year is going to have Cruz at DH, just to try to help out our defensive metrics a little bit. Brian Reynolds defensively is getting worse and could be a DH. He's a DH on this side. And Cruz was so bad last year. I'm going to start him off on the bench against lefties just because he started off the season so poorly. Maybe he can pick it up and will provide value and we can have him actually play. But he was just really rough last year at the beginning, and I don't want to risk that. So our lineup pretty much looks the same. Kepler is going to be playing first. Gonzalez will be playing short. Triolo will be playing second. And yeah, I mean, and then we have Henry Davis and Andy Rodriguez continuing to platoon at the catcher position. I think we're in a good spot. We are going to now basically move a little bit faster because the CPU is going to do all the drafting for us. And hopefully we can build ourselves a Cy Young roster or a Cy Young rotation again. Jared Jones needs to get in that competition. He's actually regressed a little bit this year. Dustin May, Oviedo hopefully can get back up there, and Quinn Priester can hopefully develop a little bit more into somebody who's actually decent in that role. And so, yeah, and maybe David Bednar won't have a horrible season. I did want to go get, I made some offers for some actual closers, but nothing that bared any fruit for us. So we'll get into this season and hopefully make another NL Central title, and then maybe actually win a playoff series. Well, that's the tough blow to Friedenberg's develop. Man, he tore his ACL, out for the season. Won't see him this year. Maybe next year? I don't know. Torn ACL is a big one. It's too bad. I just want to show this too. 50 games through the season. O'Neal Cruz has 22 home runs, which is the same amount of home runs he had last season. And we're not even halfway. Yeah, he is. He's back.
That's got to be the best pirate I've ever seen.
So it would seem.
And that's 3 straight division titles as we go 91 and 71, and we will be taking on the Braves in the division series. A great season. It's interesting though, because I think we've gotten worse each season since our first season, and I don't necessarily know why, because I feel like we built a team that has been better progressively, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm getting worse production from each of these guys, but it's been pretty rough to say, like, okay, runner-up Cy Young, or runner-up in the MVP is O'Neal Cruz, 56 home runs. But like, we've got the production now from like O'Neal Cruz, who, God, okay, absolutely phenomenal progression from him this year in order to get up to the MVP runner-up. But no Cy Young contention once again. The Diamondbacks have a crazy pitching staff right now, and I mean, I don't know if it's bullpen or what, but let's take a look quick. Kepler third in the Gold Glove there. Cabrian Hayes wins another Gold Glove now that he's back off of his injuries, with his 5th, only missing the 26th one from the year that he was injured. We have Varsho, looks like the runner-up in Gold Glove there in the left field. So, I mean, yeah, we're a good team, but I don't necessarily think we're good enough yet. Another 200 hit season from Walter By. That guy was very, very good. And home run leader, Connor Henderson on this side and O'Neal Cruz on this side. So I think, like, we've got good production from some guys and then not from others. Now, this year, I will admit, we lost the center fielder prospect partially through the year for the full season. Not necessarily happy about seeing that. And then we lost Nick Gonzalez at the beginning of the year. Then we lost Jared Triolo. We've been dealing with injuries again this year. And I've been dealing with injuries this entire rebuild so far. So maybe that's not necessarily a great excuse. Braxton Ashcraft started off the season very good, but fell off in 5.15 ERA for him at the end of that season. Not necessarily what you want to see from him. At the MLB level, Solomato never played. 4.43 from Priester, and Priester's potential has gone down. I think there's a chance that we will trade him. I don't see a future of Priester. If he is getting worse and regressing, then I don't really want him. And that walks per 9 regressed a lot. He gave up a lot of walks this year. And that's going to hurt. I thought he'd be a big part of the rotation, but it does not look like he will be. Dauri Moreta, 257. Jose Hernandez, 404. 318 from Luis Ortiz. A bad season from Justin Martinez, which sucks as a guy that we traded for. Peguero was an improvement, so I think that was okay, but his potential goes down. And Bednar back to normal with a 2.5 ERA this season. He is bouncing back and forth, so we could maybe expect a bad season next year from him, and maybe we go and get another reliever just to be safe. In the starting rotation, Jared Jones, the 4.10. He's not regressing per se, but he gave up 35 home runs this year, and his WHIP was low. His FIP was a lot higher. He just gave up a lot of homers, and that hurts, and that is going to hurt him, and not what you want to see. Skenes, 408. After Cy Young and then runner-up for Cy Young, a little bit back down to earth. Dustin May, 427. Oviedo back up to 381, so he had one off year, but he's still not necessarily at the mark that we want him to be. And then Jacob Rosales, I brought him up, and yeah, he was phenomenal this season when we brought him up. 235, 107 whip. We thankfully waited till September, and so he will have rookie eligibility next year, and he will hopefully go for Rookie of the Year next year as our pitcher. Lineup boys, let's look at AAA first. Connor Joe, in what is going to be his last season with us here. 256, 325 on base percentage. He had a decent year as a platoon first baseman, and I think that is, and then Monasterio. 271 and 332 on base for a platoon second baseman. When it comes to our actual major league lineup, we saw 271 from Brian Reynolds, who was normally over here. That is just due to the injuries and everything. Brian Reynolds, 271. Drew Jones came up this year and hit 255, 321 on base percentage. So a much improved year over where he was last year. His batting skills are continuing to improve. Tamar Johnson in his rookie season hits 281 with 10 home runs, 342 on base percentage, and looks like a positive WAR season from Tamar Johnson. G1 Bay as our utility guy on the bench was all right, hitting 265, 342, playing in 59 games. Starting lineup, 290 from Cabrian Hayes, hitting 20 home runs. So getting some power from him, you see an improvement in potential, but his hits went down a little bit. Thankfully, you still see him getting on base. He just did not have as great of a season as he did last year. But, I mean, it's still a 6 WAR season from Cabrian Hayes. This is Chung, who came up, and then Cruz, as you saw, runner-up to the MVP. 293 average, 56 home runs, 143 RBIs. And let's go look here. 8.2 WAR from him this past season. So, like, we talked about this being a good year. This is a good year now. Like, this is what you wanted to see from Cruz. Nick Gonzalez, who was injured for a good portion of the season, hit 261, 342 on base. You can see a little bit of regression due to his injuries. But he was all right. Definitely want to see more from him. And Kepler, in his last season with us, hit 24 home runs again. So you can't be mad at it. I moved him to first base, and he played well at the first base position. Andy Rodriguez hit 283 in the catcher spot, hitting 17 home runs, 27 doubles, and 359 on base. Really good season from Andy after a poor one last year. And Gold Glove caliber catcher with a 999 fielding percentage. And Henry Davis, 246, 359 on base percentage with 11 home runs. He is the worst fielder of the two. So it is clear that Andy Rodriguez is more valuable. So when these two contracts come up, I think we are going to probably prioritize Andy Rodriguez over Henry Davis. I think we now have a big enough sample size to say that Andy is better. Garrett Mitchell in his last year with us, and it's going to be his last year, hit 226, 318 on base, 720 OPS for him. And I was hoping that I'd get Gold Glove production from him on top of the offense, and you saw good production. Like, he's been a good outfielder, but he's going to be asking for a good amount of money, and I'm not going to pay it. And Dalton Varsho, another top-end defensive season, and 34 home runs from him, getting 244 and 301 on base percentage. I would rather see this year from him, but I guess it's not too bad. And if you're like looking at it and saying, okay, well, you're kind of bouncing around of what you think is valuable and what's not, it's more of like Garrett Mitchell's an 88, he's an 85, and he's 31, he's 29. I want to see production from younger guys who are higher overall than other guys. Next season, we will be moving up one of the outfielders. I think we'll move Dylan Head up, and Ryan Smith will come up as well. I don't think Ruben Santana is going to come up just yet, and I don't think our center fielder prospect is going to be ready next year. All right, I'm going to go in and adjust our rotation and our lineup before we go and play the first round against the Atlanta Braves, the defending champion Atlanta Braves, that is. And for a third straight season, we are going to be running Jones, Skenes, and this time we're going to go Oviedo in the third spot, hoping that we can clear this out in these first two games, but we do have to go against Paul Skenes and Pablo Lopez for the first two games, or not Paul Skenes, Spencer Strider and Pablo Lopez to start off this playoff run. So let's hope that our aces can get their wins they need to. Jared Jones versus Spencer Strider, and please don't blow this. Bednar blows the save.
Elizabeth, hide the rum.
I'd love to see it. Thanks, Bednar. And Paul Skenes versus Pablo Lopez. We get that win. We need to win this. Johan Oviedo versus Aaron Savali. We win that. And the Pirates have finally won a playoff series. And we have to play the Phillies the next day. So it's going to be Jacob Rosales versus Freddie Peralta. I think we're going to go Rosales. Rosales has been phenomenal since he came up. So we will run Rosales and then May. We just play 5 games in a row. So we're going to have to take it. We're going to have to do that. And you can't bring Skenes or Jones in. All right. Okay. Rosales versus Peralta gets the loss. I don't care about AA or AAA. But that is due to Peguero giving up 3 runs in the 8th. Our bullpen throws that one. May versus Alcantara. And we lose that one with Moretta blowing the game at that end. We are going to need to make bullpen adjustments if this is going to keep happening. Jared Jones versus Mick Abel. We get that victory thanks to a great outing for Jared Jones and some good offense courtesy of O'Neal Cruz. All right. Paul Skenes versus Aaron Nola. We get that victory. All right, we are going to go into this one. This is an important one. This can get us to our first championship series since the Barry Bonds era in the late 80s and early 90s. All right, we're going to go in. We are going to quick manage. This is the Battle of Pennsylvania. I think what we will do, the question is, do we go Oviedo or do we go Rosales or do we go Dustin May? Any 3 of these are valuable to do. I think what we're going to do, because I don't necessarily trust Oviedo right now after the first game, we will go Dustin May. We will go Dustin May. And is anybody underproducing? Nick Gonzalez is underproducing. I'm going to put in Tamar Johnson in his place. We're going to slide Kepler up the lineup. And O'Neal Cruz is hitting 208, so he's also underproducing. All right. But he walks. That's a single for Reynolds. Drew Jones with a triple to give us a 2-run lead. Dustin May barely gets through the first. And we've got a man on first and third. I want to sack fly it to take a lead, but I also don't know if I want to do that with Cabrian Hayes. I think you always got to get those runs, and he didn't get it. Oh, but a double from Varsho gets us it anyways, and we get a 4-0 lead. I'm already not liking what I'm seeing from Dustin May, but he gets out of that.
3.
As we take a 5-0 lead and a 3-run home run from O'Neal Cruz. We've got a little bit of a safety net now for us to play with.
3. 3.
as we take a 9-0 lead thanks to another great hit from Cruz. I think what we will do is we are going to take May out in this next inning, make a pitching change. I'm going to go to Priester.
Now pitching for Pittsburgh, number 46, Quinn Priester.
Simply just get me through the rest of this game, Priester.
Now pitching for the Phillies, number 56, Ryan.
I might make a change here. We will go. We'll go Moretta,
Pitching for Pittsburgh, number 36,
who gets us through, and we are advancing to the NLCS to play the Arizona Diamondbacks. All right. So, looking at our rotation for the future playoff games, Dustin May is going to move because I pitched him instead. So, pitching rotation, we are going to move. I think we're going to go Rosales, Oviedo. I'm going to go Skenes before Jones. Rosales, Oviedo, Skenes, Jones. I think we could technically wait, or we could just go Skenes, but I will pitch Oviedo just to be safe and save the stamina of Jones and Skenes. We will go Rosales game 1. We lose 4-5 thanks to a run in the 10th. And that is a loss by Justin Martinez.
But why is the run gone?
Oviedo versus Brendan Pfaadt. And we take a 6-3 lead. Skenes versus McClanahan. This is one of the best pitching staffs in all of baseball right now. Skenes versus McClanahan, Jones versus Lodolo, and then May versus Gallen. This is a pitching duel. Skenes versus McClanahan. We get an 8-2 win as we thankfully do very well against McClanahan. Jones versus Lodolo. We have bases loaded in the 9th. The Pirates win, take a 3-1 lead. Dustin May versus Zach Gallen. And we win that, and we will be going to the World Series to play the Rangers or the Angels, also who have some interesting pitching staffs, as the Angels have Roki Sasaki, Shane Bieber, and Luis Garcia. I think the Rangers pitching staff had Mitch Keller at the top end, so that would have been a very interesting playoff series. Okay, so our first World Series in the Paul Skenes era. They should be rested up, meaning that I think we're going to go Skenes to start. We're going to go Skenes because we had a whole week. So Skenes, then Jones. So Skenes should go in the Rosales position. Then Jones. And I think we're going to go Rosales, then May, then Oviedo. I like it. All right. So, Skenes versus Sasaki. Game 1 victory for Paul Skenes, and we win Game 1. Jared Jones versus Shane Bieber. We lose Game 2. Looks like it's a close game. We gave up 1 run in the 7th. All right, Jacob Rosales versus Luis Garcia. This is our chance for Rosales, and Rosales gets lit up in this one. Not really, but yeah, giving up 5 runs in the first 3 innings is kind of rough. Dustin May versus Andrew Painter, and we take that. That is a 2-2 series. Do we want to go Oviedo or do we go Skenes here? Let's first look. I'm gonna go look. I just want to see who's got stamina, if he has the stamina. He does not have the full stamina. We will go Oviedo. And we lose that because of Bednar.
That was not part of the plan.
Bednar blowing it in the end. We had a 5-4 lead, and we lose in the 9th and the 10th, losing that game. Skenes versus Sasaki in Game 6. I'm just going to sim it because I know if I quick manage it, I'm going to make a mistake. So, Skenes versus Sasaki. We lose. The Angels defeat us in the 2028 World Series. But hey, we made our first appearance to the World Series. Skenes and Jones were phenomenal. Our bullpen kind of let us down. Our starting rotation was great, and Rosales looks like a legit stud for us in going into this next season. So I think we have our pitching staff. We just need to adjust our bullpen, and we need to replace Max Kepler. So we will go into the offseason looking for, once again, a first baseman short term, and then bullpen arms. To get our closer, we are going to make a trade with the Dodgers for Camilo Duvall. They have Duvall and Romano and Ronan Kopp, so they have a surplus of relievers. We are going to give him Braxton Ashcraft and Sung-Shae Chang, two guys that are on our team that I don't think are going to be on our team next season and are out of options, and I figure the Dodgers would be able to use them. So Camilo Duvall for Chang and Ashcraft. I made a big move, and because of that, we need to clear a little bit of money. And Brian Reynolds has had a couple good seasons in a row, and I'm going to try to capitalize on it, get a little bit extra, some younger talent, cheaper deal. And we're going to throw Brian Reynolds plus Quinn Priester, who I also think has done decent, but I don't necessarily have a space for anymore, for Dylan Cruz of the Washington Nationals, who has underperformed since he's made it to the majors. But maybe being back with his college teammate might help him out a little bit. And needing a little bit more cash space, I'm also going to throw Triolo out the door. He's been great for us, but I think it's time for him to go. Plus Ji-Hwan Bae and Tucker Mitchell. We're going to throw him to the Yankees, who don't have any second baseman, and get Ian Hamilton and Chris Landgraf. Here we are in 2029, pretty much our all or nothing year, as this is the last year before we're going to be under some severe budget constraints. I did sign some guys to extensions, so we will have locked up some guys, but after this season, this is our last season where we have money. This is the last season where at the deadline we can buy. After that, we are going to be out of money. And one of the reasons for that is I made a massive signing. Now, I'll show you that in a second, because first I'm going to show you the pitching rotation, which is the same as we had in the playoffs. Skenes, Jones, Rosales, May, Oviedo. I brought up Solometo to come up and be our long reliever this season. And then we have Ian Hamilton coming in, as well as Camilo Duvall, who we both traded for this offseason from the Dodgers and Yankees, respectively. Now, I also have Moretta, who could come up at any point. We have a good amount of bullpen arms who could come up whenever they are actually ready to come up. Moretta being the one that had options, that's why he went down. If any of our guys at the major league level are underperforming and are like 5-6 ERA guys, Moretta will come and take their spot. This should hopefully be good enough in the bullpen with Martinez, Hamilton, Bednar, and Duvall as the key pieces of the bullpen for our playoff run if we are making another World Series run. Now, the lineup is where we made the major changes. We did not necessarily resolve our first baseman problem because I may have caused another one that I think you might like. And that's Gunnar Henderson. He was in free agency, and I said, you know what? If we're going to go all in, we're going all in. And Gunnar just won MVP last season in 2028, was a home run champion, is a 4-time All-Star, 3-time Silver Slugger. He can play first base. And so I could not think of a better ad. We obviously traded for Dylan Cruz, who has 2 years left before we're going to lose him in a deal. And then I brought up Ryan Smith and Dylan Head. Now, Friedenberg is probably ready to go, but I'm going to give him, and why is he playing that position? Whatever. My minor leagues are a mess. Either way, Ryan Smith is going to come up and hit lefties only for his rookie season. He is considered the #1 prospect in all of baseball right now. So, yeah, we're going to go for it. Everyone else that we have, like you can still see some guys who I think I've traded. And then we got Friedenberg there, and Escobedo there. So we've got, I think we're ready. This is our year where we're going all in. Hopefully this will be enough because I signed, in addition to this, I should actually show you this contract. Gunnar Henderson's contract is 10 years, $390 million. I also signed to an extension Andy Rodriguez, backloaded. And then the other one I signed was Jared Jones, a backloaded contract. So we will be out of money next season. And then it will be a disaster after that. Skenes has 4 years left on his deal, and then that might be a mess too. So, yeah. Let's go win a World Series. I said we were going all in, right? Did you not believe I was going all in? Matt Olson. 4. Tommy Fiore, Andres Quintero, and Junsuk Shim. 2 of our top prospects. We're going all in. Henches coming in. He's on the Nationals. They're in last place in their division. We're going to throw in Perguera and Moretta. Another year, another division title, 96 and 66. We will be taking on the winner of the wild card. So this is an improvement, meaning we have gone up, getting our bye back this season. Like I said, we went all in. This is the season. After this season, we don't have any money. So it's going to be really tight for us after this year. This has to be the year for us to win. Award winners, Jared Jones with the Cy Young, meaning we have 2 Cy Young winners. Now, Cy Young caliber pitchers is the other question. I wanted to have 3. O'Neal Cruz gets an MVP as well. So we have an MVP. We have a Cy Young winner. We do not get another Cy Young caliber guy if this ends up being this last season. Though Oviedo had great years, Dustin May had a great year. We had that fantastic year from Mitch Keller. And Rosales is ready too, so he could end up getting one in the future. We might have a full rotation of that. That's a McGinsky. All right, good for him. All right. I just wanted to check quick. I was actually looking for Rookie of the Year. Solometo, 3rd place for Rookie of the Year this season. All right, league leaders: Jared Jones in strikeouts, winning percentage, and WAR, and O'Neal Cruz in RBIs and runs. When you look at hits, leader was Jackson Merrill with Walter By once again at the top end there. This guy was really good, and yeah, he was a great draft pick for the Giants. Home run leaders, Vladdy, and then O'Neal Cruz in 2nd. Looks like a down year for Gunnar. Oh my God, yeah, down year for Gunnar, who's regressing already. Okay, that's not good to see. Home runs, and then take a look at saves. Camilo Duvall in 4th, and then yeah. So taking a quick look at our rotation. First, go over to down here. It looks like Bednar got sent down with a 5.09 ERA. Look, I made the right move. I had a feeling he was going to have this situation where he was going to bounce back to the 5 again. That's why we went out and got Duvall. He did it, and I think we made the right decision to get Duvall. I should bring up Bednar, but I don't necessarily want to in case the bullpen arms are bad. All right, Luis Ortiz, 3.41 in the bullpen. Solometo with a 3.82 in the bullpen. Jose Hernandez with 3.53. Justin Martinez, 2.29. Ian Hamilton had a down second half, dropping down to a 5.86. 2.52 for Henches and a 3.95 for Duvall, who also had a bad season. So our bullpen arms have just kind of been rough. 3.25 for Skenes, 2.77 in the Cy Young for Jared Jones. Rosales with a 4.49, not a great season for him. 4.23 for May, and 3.42 once again for Oviedo, who continues to perform very, very well for them, for us. Going to our lineup quick, Ryan Smith got sent down. He had 274 in his rookie season, hitting 71 hits in his platoon opportunities at first base. Anybody else get sent down? It doesn't really look like it. So what we have at our actual major league level is we had Monasterio on the bench, 286 in his opportunities, good off the bench. Tamar Johnson, 238, not necessarily what you like to see, but he did get on base a decent amount, good slugging, and will take advantage of his spot once Gonzalez's contract is up, because I will not be able to bring back Gonzalez. Gonzalez hit 274 in his spot, with 25 home runs, so good season from him. Sadly, he will not be coming back, but he had a good year. Brian Hayes, 274, so he is still regressing back down from where he was in that 2027 year where he was really, really good. 15 home runs, though, 357 on base, 747 OPS, and still a 4.8 WAR season as he racks up another Gold Glove. Henry Davis, 256. This is the last year of Henry Davis, who had a decent season, 12 home runs, but we just cannot afford 2 catchers. Matt Olson coming in, hit 34 home runs. He is regressing. He is strictly just a purchase at the deadline to try to get us over the hump, hitting 268 with a 379 on base percentage, 871 OPS. He has won several MVPs and several World Series at this point, so he is a big piece here. Gunnar, 29 home runs, 281. He was regressing, sadly. I hope that is not something that continues to happen. Andy Rodriguez is at second base, hitting 298. Good season from him, 18 home runs. We signed him to an extension. He will be the main catcher from now on. O'Neal Cruz, MVP, 294, 44 home runs. Dylan Cruz, the other Cruz, 258, 19 home runs. He's got one more year left with us and a 322 on base and 19 home runs. So I think I already said that. But he improved being with his college teammate Paul Skenes. Varsho, 270, with a no-go glove for him this year, and 28 home runs for him as a basically starting to look like he can only hit righties. And Drew Jones, not a good year for him as he struggled, hitting 230, 306 on base. I'm going to fix our lineup, make sure that Endy is actually playing catcher, and then we are going to go in this playoffs, and we better win this World Series. Taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers to start off, we are going to go Skenes, Jones, then Rosales, where we go against Shohei, Frasso, and Yamamoto. So Skenes to start game one gets a 2-3 loss, and Skenes was the one who lost that one. Jones against Frasso, 2-4 loss, and Rosales versus Yamamoto, 6-1 win. Dustin May versus Bobby Miller, 15-5 win, and that puts us in a game 5 of Oviedo versus Burns. And we win, advancing to take on the Padres. So it took all 5 of our starters. And looks like Jones and Skenes did not do well in their first appearances, but everybody else did. But we're back to Skenes and Jones. Skenes versus Matt Manning in game 1. Takes an 8-5 win thanks to Solometo coming in and pitching 5 innings in order to get that. Jared Jones against Daniel Lynch. That's a 1-7 loss as we get blown out in the 9th by our bullpen, once again giving up 6 runs. Okay.
Welcome to the Caribbean, lad.
Rosales versus Lesko. 1-5 loss. Rosales gets kind of beaten there. And Dustin May versus Robbie Snelling. We win that one. It is a 2-2 series for Oviedo against Matt Manning. I honestly have faith in Oviedo. We're going to let him go. And I'm glad I had faith in him. We have a 3-2 series lead for Skenes versus Lynch. And Skenes advances, meaning that we are going to take on the winner of the Twins and the Red Sox in this World Series. We are going to adjust our rotation and go Jones, then Skenes, then Rosales, May, and Oviedo. Our back end of our starting lineup has been fantastic, but I still want to let our top end guys go against Boston and Pittsburgh. So what we're going to do is actually first, let's go take a look at the roster. We are far enough that this roster should be completely different than, what, the other teams have been. So Boston, Britt McAlpin, they have Jordan, Devers, Casas. So it looks like they still have a lot of big pieces that they normally had, but they brought in Jackson Holliday, who is not playing, by the way, in this series. Britt McAlpin is a draft pick, I would assume, and then they brought in Jordan. Their pitching staff is Manoah, Houck, and Bayo, with Garrett Whitlock. Alvarado is their closer. So really, it looks like we have the pitching advantage. I mean, we kind of have the lineup advantage too. So this should advantage us going into this World Series. Skenes versus Manoah. We get the dub, 10-1. We absolutely light up Alek Manoah, scoring 10 runs in that game. This is going to be Rosales. Oh, okay. Wait a second. I want Jones going, then Rosales, then May, then Oviedo. All right. So Jared Jones against Tanner Houck gets the win, 4-3. Thanks to another great game. This is Camilo Duvall, so we must have won this one in extras, in which we scored an extra run in the 10th inning. I'm going to give that an O'Neal Cruz home run, please, to get us the win. All right, Jacob Rosales versus Brian Bayo. gets a 9-2 win. We have a 3-0 series lead going up against Boston and Dustin May versus Alek Manoah. We are going to jump into this one and quick manage it, and hopefully jump in at the end to get ourselves a World Series celebration.
Play ball.
Now, let's not blow it.
Ball 4. Take your base.
Losing 0-1 in the end of the first. 0-2, 0-3.
3.
Solo home run from Drew Jones. And we have man on first and second for Gunnar, who grounds out to get out. So 3-1, 4-1, as Devers has now scored 2 runs on us. Dustin May is kind of getting lit up here.
Ball 4. Take your base.
I think we are going to make a pitching change. We're going to go Luis Ortiz.
Number 48.
I should go Solometo against them, knowing that they have a lot of lefties. Gunnar, I would normally sack fly, but this is Gunnar, and he strikes out, and O'Neill strikes out. Okay. Luis, another home run for Rafael Devers. As I have a feeling this one is going to go quick. 3-9, Dustin May got lit up that game, so we are going to go to Oviedo in this next one. We will advance day. We will play this one with a quick manage once again. This should be one that we are going to win eventually. The question is just how many games is it going to take us, and what are we going to have to go through. Bases loaded for Andy Rodriguez, who scores a run on a walk. Matt Olson, ground out, gets in. 3-0, and okay. We have a 3-0 lead here in Game 5.
3. Take your base. Ball 4.
Bases loaded for Nick Gonzalez, who flies out.
3. Ball 4. Take your base.
2-run home run for Matt Olson to give us a 5-0 lead.
Ball 4. Number
Take your
79.
base.
Take your base. Ball 4. 3.
Mata.
Andy Rodriguez gets a single to take a 7-0 lead.
3. Ball 4. Take your base.
Oviedo gives up some runs, so we're going to go to Solometo.
For the Pirates. Number 60.
He gets through that. Varsho hits a home run.
3. Number 40.
Make a pitch and change here in the 7th. We're going to go to Justin Martinez, who gives up a solo home run to start off, 8-4.
3. Ball 4. Take your base. Take your base. Ball 4.
Bases loaded for Matt Olson, who scores a run on a walk. Strikeout, strikeout. We're going to make a pitching change here and go to Bednar. Who gives up a double to Jordan, strikeout, triple to Tristan Casas, strikes out, and a ground out. Drew Jones versus Karinchak, Brian Hayes, and Nick Gonzalez. We will make a pitching change here. You know what we're going to do? We're going to go Skenes. And we are going to pitch, pitch, pitch. Double play! No, I wanted to watch it. Okay, Pirates win the World Series. I wanted to watch that. It doesn't look like we get to get our final thing. I should have jumped in instead of seeing the double play. But the Pirates are the World Series winners. If we go take a look at our awards, World Series MVP goes to O'Neill Cruz. Playoff MVP goes to Gunnar Henderson. And yeah, that is the Pirates rebuild. I think the one thing that you could say as a question of whether or not we succeeded is, did we actually have 3 aces? I'd love to hear what you actually think considering this rotation. This is one of the best rotations that I think I've built. It's not like it's that hard. It is the Pirates to start off with. And they are locked up long term. So Skenes and Jones are going to be here for a while. Well, at least Jones is now. Skenes might leave in a bit. But they have 2 Cy Young winners who are still in their 20s. And they have 2 interesting young, or 27 and 30-year-old shortstops who are also very talented and very interesting going into the future. So that'll be all for our Pirates Aces rebuild. I don't know what I'm calling it yet, so I'll see once ever I make it. And I want to thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And also, please join the Discord if you would like to, down in the description, and follow me on everything else. Please. I like to stream too and other things, but I digress. Thank you so much, and adios.
Saying they look like Sade, tryna waste your time like Hardy. What they gon' say? Tryna tie me down to a noble state. To a noble state, they gon' play my